Hey everybody, this is Antti from the band Cadaveric Incubator in Finland. I'll see you at the Tampa Morgue.
What's up? This is Tony, and you're listening to the Tampa Morgue, episode 113. And as always, from his studio deep in Tampa Bay, Florida, my co-host, Mr. Ed Webb. What is up, Webb?
Mr. Anderson, what is going on, brother?
Beginning of November, man. I was actually, before you came on, I was going back in time a little bit. You know how you fall down those like YouTube rabbit holes? I was checking it out at in-store at Peaches from September 23rd, 1987 with Ace Frehley when Frehley's Comet was coming through Florida with White Lion and Loudness. But yeah, man, I was watching, sometimes I watch those old Tampa videos to see if I see anybody that we know from back then and stuff. But
Peaches, yeah, I've been there. I've been to the in-stores there before. It's the Kinko's now. Or FedEx, whatever you call that, FedEx, Kinko's, where you can ship stuff and print stuff. But yeah, that was a Peaches, right on Fowler and Bruce B. Downs. Holy shit, I forgot all about Peaches. But
yeah, there's a whole video they put up that recently just got put up, man. It's the whole and Ace is there and stuff, and it was put on by, which is again a turn back the clock kind of thing. 95 YNF, Tampa Bay, home of rock and roll.
Ron and Ron.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so Ron Diaz and Ron Bennington, Russ albums.
Yep.
Yeah,
where was they were the before 98 Rock was 98 Rock. They were like the classic rock version of 98 Rock here now, which is like the new stuff. So yeah, Ron and Ron were huge, man. They had a great morning show. They had man, I don't know how many years they were on, like for as long as I can remember, from when I moved here till had to be late 90s, maybe even early 2000s they were on. But yeah, that was a great show, man. That brings back memories.
And was that like 95 YNF? That was off of Gandy, right?
I think they all were back in the day. It's iHeart now, but I think back then it was Clear Channel.
Yeah. So I've been up there recent, like not when I say recently, I mean in the last like 15 years they've had some promos going on there. But yeah, it's located with Gandy Boulevard in St. Petersburg.
It's not technically St. Pete. It's on the Tampa side.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, you're
literally
right.
right off of Dale Mabry and Gandy. It's like literally maybe a half a mile down the road on Gandy. But yeah, there's that's where 93.3 was, which is a kind of rap pop stations. 98 Rock was there for a while. Then there also used to be Clear Channel over off of
Feather
uh,
Sound, right?
Feather Sound, correct, off of Ulmerton. Yep. So there
Yeah.
were two. There were two that when they moved around, but I believe you're right. They were either at Feather Sound or the one on Gandy. But yeah, wow, I forgot
Yeah,
because they
I
put
was
out
just
all the
sitting
White
there.
Lion because White Lion was there at
Yeah, it was
Peaches.
White Lion and Loudness on this tour, and obviously Ace, you know, and it just got put up a couple days ago, and you know how that goes. Once you start watching something, you start just and
Rabbit
I was
hole
just looking at the people on the lines. I was like, "Man, is anybody we know from, back in," and I looked at
with
the
their
date
teased
and it
up
was
hair,
Sep
and my wife was
yeah,
probably there because she was White Lion. She had the back patch for fucking Michael Tramp. You know, she was a fucking trampy. Uh,
September 23rd, '87, and actually, I do remember Ace's mother-in-law from his ex-wife was actually lived in Tampa, so there were some kinda ties there and stuff, but, yeah, I was thinking of when I was waiting for you to get on, I was watching that, and it kinda brought me down that whole, but Ed, another show, 113, we actually opened up the show with Cadaveric Incubator, Gravestench, Asphyxiation from the Sermons of the Devouring Dead record that came out on Hell's Headbangers, October 13th, 2017. And we'll be joined with Antti, aka Necroterror of Cadaveric Incubator, also of Satanic War Master, x-Slugathor, Excrement, Torsofuck, and some other bands. We're going to talk to him here in about 25 minutes. But Ed, we can give a update on you actually while we're starting out the show. Finally, we can give out some monstrosity news. People ask about it all the time. We're kind of lip sealed on most of it, but there is an announcement.
is there? I don't know anything about
I
it.
hope so,
Yeah,
or I
yeah,
look like
no,
a real
we're
jackass tonight.
yeah, no, I'm just kidding, man. Yeah, no, I saw the news. Well, I mean, I kind of knew uh prior to seeing it, but yeah, we are going to be playing Maryland Death Fest once again, which is pretty killer. I definitely, if you've played there before, you know that it's a killer show. They've changed how they do things over the years, but definitely it's a killer festival. On you've never been, right?
Never been, no.
Okay, yeah. So, but yeah, this year we're actually doing something different. We're doing the pre-fest event, which is the Wednesday.
With a hell of a lineup.
Yeah, I was, when he first told me we were going to do the pre-fest, I was like, oh, I was thinking it's Wednesday, like that kind of it sounds worse than it could be, obviously. But then MDF threw out the lineup, and yeah, it's with Napalm Death, Repulsion, Sinister, and Organ Dealer, and I was like, holy shit, that's a fucking massive lineup. So yeah, I'm pretty fucking stoked. It's Wednesday, May 20th, 2026, and get your tickets on sale, like I believe now at deathfests.com. So if you want to, plus this year's lineup, the actual lineup leading into the rest of the um, fest from Thursday on absolutely looks fucking sick. Like they have a bunch of killer bands that they're that are going to be there, and the fact that they're doing it not with the Edison lot and the way they do it now, it makes it a lot easier to get around. So it's definitely going to be fucking awesome.
And I should remember this, but when was the last monstrosity show you guys played?
The last monstrosity show we played, I think, was 1998. Uh, it was. I don't think we did not do a show at all this year, which is fucking crazy. The last show we actually did was in San Antonio. I believe it was San Antonio. Yeah, it was. It was August 16th of last year. That was when we played with Dismember, Nasty Savage, Whiplash. It was killer. It was a great show. We played right for Nasty Savage that year, and that was when Mister Mister Nasty Ronnie asked me to introduce them on stage, which I thought was fucking crazy.
That's
But
great.
it was killer. It was great. It actually worked out better because I did the typical fucking almost the Mordant Red kind of over the top wrestling kind of thing. And he loved it because, obviously Ronnie's got huge ties to wrestling. So that was, I think besides, I take that back. If you want to count the local thing we did, we played those 4 songs at Barf.
Barf, yeah.
But if you're talking about official shows, it would have been San Antonio, which that was a great show. So, but there's more stuff coming. I'll be able to announce soon, but that's the big one that we were able to release. And being November, the news is coming soon. I was told that I will have a green light very soon to unleash the beast and give all the info, which I can't wait to, because there's a lot of
That's
killer
some good
shit.
stuff coming up.
Yeah. I mean, not that you would know because you're not supposed to, but
Exactly. Yeah, some good stuff coming up for Ed, which we'll be announcing on here. Maryland Death Fest is the first announcement, which actually you'll have, you actually played Maryland Death Fest with our guest tonight, Antti from Cadaveric Incubator, so there's gonna be that tie there too.
Yep. That was the 2022 Metal Fest. That was the one, I think that was the last year they did the Edison lot, if I'm not mistaken.
Famous autopsy performance too.
That was that night. That was that, and that was probably, in my opinion, I've seen days before, and I think the day we played was probably, for the Edison lot, was probably one of the best lineups you could have had. I mean, I think it was Massacre open the day, Atheist, Monstrosity, Suffocation, Demolition Hammer, and then they moved. They had to, because of bad weather, they moved the last 2 bands, which was Obituary and Carcass, to where it is now. But that's a pretty killer lineup for one day.
That's a hell of a lineup.
Yeah, for sure. So,
And I also, talking to bands, I actually, was it Friday night or Saturday? You probably, Ed knows my schedule
Saturday.
more than me.
Saturday night.
I went to go see, Profanatica and Spider at Lemmy's in Kaunas, Lithuania. Great show, man. It was the, Wreath of the Dead Angels European tour, which I think is like 16 dates they're doing. First time seeing Spider. I wanted to see them last year when I came to Florida in November, but by the time my plane was landing, it just wasn't gonna work out. Fucking awesome band, great performance. Talked to Richard Spider, a great guy, man. I didn't, we talked about it, Ed. I actually did not ask him to come on the show because it was kind of like a hangout, I didn't want to bring business into it, but I've never seen Spider do any interviews, but I would love to get him on here, of course. But great guy, great show. Profanatica sounded awesome. It was totally great gig. And then this Friday, I'm going to see Luctus over at the same venue, the Lithuanian black thrash metal band. We've had Dovidus on this show before, but it was a killer show, man. And then Halloween was obviously a couple days ago. We had a party at my house. I'm feeling it now, as you could probably tell from listening to me. We had over, again, 500 kids at our house coming in and out with candy. We had a party inside, actually had Darius from Luctus hanging out, and his family. It was a great time, man. Great Halloween, and then of course here, it's always busy. We got stuff going on. I guess we could announce first, Ed, how was your Halloween, man? First, I must ask. I know you had to carry the wife out at like 11.
Yeah, neighbor had a party. They were supposed to, at a certain time, go to the backyard where it was only adults. We never made it there. This dude was pouring some. Well, my wife starts early with this fireball bullshit. She loves that shit. She was Michael Myers, and it's the first time in probably, I couldn't tell you. I think we did a show once or twice where we dressed up because it was a Halloween, so we did something stupid. You know how you do it. But this is the first time I actually wore a costume, because they were kind of mandatory, like that. They were throwing it down. So I threw something together. You saw the picture. It looked kind of legit.
It looked good. And yeah, I think the greatest part of the party was that when you told me you had to carry out your wife at 11.
I didn't physically have to carry her, but I had to momentumly push her towards the house.
Because you knew where it was headed.
Yeah, my wife hits it. I hope she listens to this so she hears what I'm saying, but she goes through stages, and I know the stages of Gina. That's my wife's name. If you don't know, it is Gina, and her stages go she starts off slow, and then it turns into giggles, and then it turns into uncontrollable laughter, and then it comes into uncontrollable vomiting. And we try to avoid the last part because it's like the crying game where she's in the shower and it's
Scene you never forget.
yes, and she's in the shower and she's telling me to go fuck myself. And the next thing you know, she's laying in there with the dog because he goes in there to comfort her. And I'm an asshole because after 2 hours of trying to get her out, she won't. I bail because I'm done. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, you're done. You don't listen. Lay in the tub. But we didn't reach that point.
At the web
We
house.
didn't reach that point. We didn't reach that point. She came home and she ate her cold McDonald's and then she was fucking out within 30 minutes. It was great.
Another Halloween in the books too. We probably don't have many left, me and you. So gotta enjoy them when we
Even
can.
my kids, because I bought an extra. I guess for those who don't know, I went as an easy costume. I bought a $10 Mick Thompson mask and some coveralls to work on my kid's car so I don't get dirty. And it actually fucking worked out to where I almost looked pretty close to Mick Thompson. It was pretty. I mean, the mask looked legit from a distance, so it was
Happy
fun.
Halloween at the web house.
Yeah, man, because they don't generally do anything. My sons don't like to. My son went as an electrician. He is an
My
electrician.
daughters went as witches. They love the whole, as we call them in Lithuania, ragana.
Rocking it, yeah.
Yeah, they went as that, and I went as the father, running all over the place, making sure that the house wasn't destroyed.
That's all I did forever. But funny, Bryce went as an electrician, and he is an electrician, so it's funny.
Yeah.
I told him to just put his tool belt on because he had just come home from work and look, he didn't change. I said, just put your tool belt on, dude. He's like, dude, that's a great idea.
Another one gone. Another one in the books, man. Yeah.
Yep.
So
26 will be here in less than 2 months.
yeah, it's crazy. Time is flying.
We'll be on year 4.
Yeah, it's you can't make it up. But and Ed, I don't. Let's mention upcoming guests really fast. I'm only going to mention one. There is a couple, but we want to make sure this all goes as
We're
planned.
having some issues.
And yeah, so the next upcoming guest, knock on wood, will be Chris Volcano from Abominator, Cemetery Urn. He was with Destroyer 666, Denouncement Pyre. So that should be the next one. As you know, we have someone else who should be on. Also another, speaking of huge Tampa Bay history,
Huge
legend of the Tampa Bay scene, if everything goes right. So we don't want to jinx ourselves there. But speaking of Tampa Bay, what do you say, Ed? We get the Death Metal Dave promo for the Tampa Bay Museum of Metal rolling. We'll do the musicians who passed away and releases. And then we'll do shows, and then we're gonna get Antti, aka Necroterror from Finland's Cadaveric Incubator, on the show.
You said something about Tampa Museum something. I don't know what you're talking about.
Tampa Bay Museum of Metal. But before we get to the Dave Allison promo, I'm going to play Slugathor out of Finland. Summoning, the True Face of Evil is the name of the track from the Echoes from Beneath record that came out on Drakkar Productions in 2009. So Necroterror was in the band, so we're going to play that first, and then we're going to roll with the Tampa Bay Museum promo, then musicians who passed away, releases, shows, and then we're going to get to Necroterror from Cadaveric Incubator.
In your face.
Here we go. This is Slugathor with Summoning, the True Face of Evil. We'll be back on the Tampa Morgue after this.
What's up, Tampa Morgue listeners? This is Death Metal Dave from the Tampa Bay Museum of Metal. And I'd like to ask you to join us on February the 7th at Magnanimous Brewery, Seminole Heights, where we're going to have a killer display of Florida metal history. Backdrops, guitars, drums, clothing, you name it, we're going to have it. And it's pretty freaking cool, man. Come out and support the metal and drink our Tampa Bay Museum of Metal beer. And always listen to Tampa Morgue with Tony and Ed. It's just Death Metal Dave. In your face.
And that was Dave Allison, a.k.a. Death Metal Dave from the Tampa Bay Museum of Metal. And for more information, visit www.tampabaymuseumofmetal.com. There you will find all the Tampa Bay history and Florida metal history that dates back to 1982 and takes you to the current day. So I hope to see you all out there in February. It'll be my first time attending the event. Ed's been there before, and it's a killer time, so looking forward to that. And before that, you guys heard the track from Slugathor, a track called Summoning, The True Face of Evil, that came off the Echoes from Beneath record that came out on June 25th, 2009 on Drakkar Productions. And again, we'll be joined here in probably about 10 minutes by Antti, a.k.a. Necroterror from Cadaveric Incubator, was also with Slugathor, Satanic War Master, and Torsofuck, and as we mentioned earlier, some other bands that we'll be talking about this evening when we get together with Antti. So looking forward to that. For all our regular listeners, you know what time it is. I'm going to have to do this little spiel. For all of our new listeners, thanks for checking out the show. You can find all the past interviews that we've done on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you listen to podcasts. In the last few weeks even, we had last week, we had guitarist Gore, a.k.a. Sadistic Fornicator of Necromaniac. And we had also the bassist, The One, joined us. That was last week's episode. Necromaniac's out of the UK. And we also had Revik on the week before that. Revik from Mordant Red. He actually world premiered like 3 of the tracks from the upcoming split they have with Lordly Mungus coming out. So you can go check that out. We also had Eric from Norway's Heimland on that show, and Bloody F Mess finished off the show. That show, we actually had 3 guests on. Before that, we had Magnus from Norway's Aberration, ex-Condor, ex-Hecatomb, and Mayans Hill. He was on here. We also had Simo, a.k.a. Black Venom from Finland's Flame. He also was with Ern, a Dorier. He was on the show. We had Vincent Crowley from Acheron on a few weeks ago, episode 108. It was a second appearance on the Tampa Morgue. Ed Miller of Negative Plane was on episode 106. And like I said, we have a shitload of episodes you can go check out. We had Chris Wrightford on the show. Morbid Saint was on the Tampa Morgue. Dave from Mortis Scold. We had Lee Payne from Club and Hoof. Gene from Angel Corpse Perdition Temple was on the show. Henry from God Dethroned. We had the guys from Columbia's Witch Trap on here. Tony Dolan from Venom. John Walker of Cancer. We had Mantis from Venom, a 5-hour episode going through all of Venom's history. We had Ritual Butcher of Arc Goat on here. We had King Fally of Deceased. Eric from Goat Seaman out of Peru. We had Terry Butler of Obituary, Death, Massacre, Denial Fiend. That is a deep dive into Florida history right there. Some great conversation. We've known Terry forever. Really good episode, in my opinion, at least. Luciferian Rights out of Mexico. We had Nige Rocket from Onslaught on the show. We had Harry Quokinen from Hooded Menace and Hail Conjurer on here. We had Morgul out of Finland. We had Dawn of the Dead from Nunslaughter. Alessio from Violenter and Hobbs Angel of Death. We had Adam from Cardiac Arrest on not too long ago. Lord Sabothan from Morbid Death. Slaughter Messiah Enthroned. We had Bobby Gustafson from Overkill on the Morgue. We had Rob from Lucifericon, a Destroyer 666. Martin Missy from Protector. Louisma from Hemorrhage was on here. We had Snowy Shaw from King Diamond, Merciful Fate. We had the actor David Howard Thornton, who played Art the Clown in all the Terrifier movies on here. We had the guys from Blood Serpent out of Vietnam. We had Udo from Accept on here. We had Carl Kennedy from The Rods, Kyle Thomas from X-Order, Floodgate, and Trouble on the show. Sergeant Salston from Deathhammer, Inferno and Odin from Disaster. We had Daniel Avenger from Nocturnal, Angel of Damnation, and Black Priest of Satan. We've had a shitload of episodes you can go back and hear for free. So anybody who's new, we do appreciate you checking out the show. And there's even more episodes than that. Those are the ones I just mentioned now. But you can always email us at thetampamorgue@gmail.com. Best place to check for updates is the Instagram page. We are active on Facebook too. And now I'm going to do what we always do on this show. I'm going to mention the musicians who passed away. First, I'm going to mention Alejandro Olarte, a Colombian-born guitarist from the bands Dark Mantra and Rotten Spirit. He passed away at the age of 46. And then I will also mention Nico Varela, a Finnish guitarist from the band Temple Balls and New Horizon. He passed away from cancer. That is something we always like to do on the show, is pay some respect to the musicians who passed away. And now I'm going to mention releases, and then Ed, you can mention your releases. We'll get to shows, and then we'll get to Antti, a.k.a. Necroterror from Cadaveric Incubator. I'm going to start out with Abyssic Grave. Born of the Wilderness is the name of this one. They are a black metal band from New Zealand. Gutter Prince Cabal out of Australia is the label it's coming out on. Band formed in 2022. First release was a 2-song demo in 2024. Born of the Wilderness will be the band's debut full-length. It has 8 tracks. It'll be available on November 6th. Sentinix, the Swedish death metal band, is releasing With Guts and Glory on Black Lion Records out of Sweden. The band formed in 1990. The first release was a demo titled Stupid Humanity in 1991. That title still fits today, doesn't it? This will be the band's 12th full length, and this has 8 tracks, and it'll be available November 7th. Glorious Depravity, a death metal band from New York. The name of this one is Death Never Sleeps. It's coming out on Transcending Obscurity Records out of India. Glorious Depravity formed in 2017. The first release was a demo in 2018 titled Hospital Incinerator Blues. They also put out a full length in 2020 titled Ageless Violence. Glorious Depravity features members past and present of Near Dark, Clean Teeth, Gravesend, Woe, and Weeping Sores. Death Never Sleeps will be out November 7th on Transcending Obscurity Records. White Baroness, black metal from Finland. War Chariots is the name of this one. Primitive Reaction out of Finland is the label. White Baroness is a project of Crusher of Finland's Morgul, who we had on the Tampa Morgue, episode 95. The first release was a 2-song demo that came out in June 2025. War Chariots has 7 tracks, including 2 tracks that were on that first demo, and War Chariots will be out November 7th. The band features members past and present of Morgul, Death Vocation, Sperm Angel, Devil Moon, and Mutant Sex Demon. Liquid Rot, the Italian death metal band, is putting out an EP titled Fucked on a Tomb on Iron Fortress Records out of Kansas City, Missouri. Liquid Rot formed in 2023. They put out a demo titled Gutted in 2023. Fucked on a Tomb has 6 tracks and will be out on Iron Fortress Records November 7th. Roadkill, Finnish thrash metal band. Bleed from the Crown is the name of this one. It's an independent release. Roadkill formed in 2020 under the name Damage Case. They put out 2 singles in 2023 and a single in 2024, an EP in 2024, and this will be the band's first full length. Band features 3 members of the band Sledgehammer. Bleed from the Crown will be out November 7th. And last, Cremate out of Greece, a death metal band. Ready to Fight is the name of this EP. It's an independent release. Cremate formed in 1991. The first release was a demo titled End of Time in 93. So it's actually been like 25 years between releases. The last thing they put out was a EP in 1995. Ready to Fight has 4 tracks and it'll be out November 7th. And Mr. Webb, what do you have for releases?
As for new releases, yeah, I don't have anything this week. I didn't see anything pop up on Spotify, and I just looked at Apple, and there's nothing there, which is odd, but go figure.
Yeah, it's an easy one then.
Yeah, I'm sorry if you've had something come out, you guys got to promote better because I didn't see it.
So there's no releases. So we'll just do shows, a couple shows we have, and we'll get Antti on here, aka Necroterror.
Let's do it.
Yeah, you can go first with shows if you want.
Yeah, the only thing I saw, which you know about, is the Elvis, the Florida Swamp Tour 2 with Obituary, celebrating 35 years of Cause of Death, which makes me want to cry because I bought that record when it came out. So I feel fucking old if it's 35 years old. But yeah, Intoxicated, Castrator, and Cold Steel are playing with them. And I believe I saw Virulence was added on a I think the Tampa show, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe the Miami show too. I saw a couple flyers with their names on it, so they might also be on a couple shows, but I know they're on definitely one of them. But yeah, Destin, Florida, Club LA, 12-5, or December 5th, if we want to go that route. Jacksonville and Albatross on December 6th. The Conduit in Orlando, the 7th. Miami at Gramps, which I've played in this pretty cool venue on the 12th of December. And then the 13th and the 14th at the Mighty Brass Mug, which will probably be sold out because definitely they packed that fucking place like there's no tomorrow.
Definitely. Yeah, that's whenever they play those shows at the Mug Obituary, it is a circus.
Yeah, I mean, even when we played with them in what is the Conduit now in Orlando, which was our last show in what, 19 or 18?
18, yeah.
That fucking show was slam packed.
Was it Paul Bearer, Obituary, us, Dust Bolt?
Yep.
I feel like I'm missing one.
Skeleton Witch?
Skeleton Witch, you're correct. Yeah.
But yeah, that fucking show was packed. Like, you could not, if you remember, we had to keep going out the back door because we couldn't even get to the front door or to the merch table or nothing. I mean, it was packed, which is good. I mean, that's not a complaint. It's just now, you know, that bar that was in the Conduit was the problem because it just took up so much room.
Yeah,
I've not been there, man.
Right away.
It's crazy that I have not been there since he took over and changed it. And I hope to play there soon because I would love to see what it looks like.
Yeah, he owns all the old flyers from the Florida shows back in the day on the walls and stuff. I've heard it's really killer. I haven't been there, just like you. The last time I was there when we played there with Obituary many years ago, so I definitely want to check it out.
For sure.
And speaking of the Conduit, the first show I have is November 6th, Ulcerate out of the Netherlands, Spirit Possession out of Oregon, and that's going to be at the Conduit on November 6th. And then I have one more show that I'll announce because we're going to be back here next week, and it's Swarmfest. And it's going to be a 2-day event. Usually it's 3, but this year it's 2. It'll be Friday, November 7th and Saturday, November 8th. Doors at 5 p.m. for those shows. I think the Friday, the doors are at 6. Some of the bands playing is Hell's Attack, which is a Hobbs Angel of Death tribute. Actually, if you remember, Ed, when we played Swarmfest in 2016, I believe, we actually played with Hobbs, which was
we did.
Which was he was a great guy. R.I.P. You know, of course. Perdition Temple's playing. Three Knuckles Deep, Ramtha, Bullet Wound, Antagonizer, Othalion, Grave Filth, Syndicate. Hell Witch is playing. Hell Witch, I mean, shit, we had Pat on here. Episode 4 was one of our first interviews we had on this show. Actually, the first interview we had on this show was Pat from Hell Witch. We have False Prophets playing, Precipice, Dark Ritual, Swamp Tooth, Hatred Creation, Saturnine, Incinerate Us, and more. And that's taking place at the Brass Mug in Tampa, Florida. That is Swarmfest. It'll be November 7th and 8th. So yeah, definitely, you know, Swarmfest, Nick Goodyear always puts it on. It's always a good time. You know, it's definitely worth checking out. And this year it'll be 2 days instead of 3. That's what I have for shows. I don't have too much. So I say we get to our guest tonight.
Let's do it.
Yeah, man, you know, the interviews are rolling in, dude. As anybody who heard the promo a couple minutes ago, we've had a lot of guests. We've had
our first guest was episode 4.
4, yeah.
And that was almost 110 episodes later. We're still fucking pounding people. And we haven't had our own episode in
forever.
How long?
So a long time, yeah. We've had some, I mean, just legends. You think about it, we had Chris Reifert on, you know, Paul Speckman and Blaine Cook. I mean, you know, we've from The Accused, Yarno from Earn. We've had some great episodes and just many. And tonight we have another guest, so we're going to get him on here. We have Antti, aka Necroterror, from Cadaveric Incubator, coming on here in a few minutes, and we're going to play some Cadaveric Incubator before we get him on here. We're going to play Bloodlust from the Nightmare Necropolis record that came out May 14th, 2021 on Hell's Headbangers. And on this track, man, there's backup vocals from Martin from Blood out of Germany. Ed, anything else before we get Antti on here?
Let's get him on.
It's Cadaveric Incubator with Bloodlust, and we'll be back with Necroterror from the band after this track on the Tampa Morgue. And that was Cadaveric Incubator, and we are joined by Necroterror from the band. How you doing, man?
Oh, tired, a little bit hungover, I must admit. Things like this happen sometimes. I went to a show last night and was supposed to come home early, but unexpected turns in events happened, and now I'm with the hangover, so whatever.
What show was it?
It was a punk show. Old, like a classic 80s hardcore. Classic Finnish bands from the early 80s, like Deepred-Trapped, Ristetyt, Rattus, and Mob 47 from Sweden. Great show.
You were also a punk fan growing up?
Yeah, I wouldn't say like growing up, but that came a little bit later. In like mid 90s, I was really much into especially the old Finnish hardcore. You know, we used to have a band also. That is not listed anywhere, you know. But I had a hardcore band also. It was called Anal Inferno. In around 94, we made got me thinking like yesterday about that, you know, because you know, like our main influence was that band who played yesterday, Tervet-Cadet. I don't know if you know this early 80s Finnish hardcore band, but that was the main influence, and we tried to do something similar back then. But then we released one demo also, but nobody has it anymore except our vocalist that time, and he's so ashamed of it that he is refusing to give a copy to anybody. So, you know, maybe one day.
I guess we can start out the show with you were supposed to play. You were one of the bands, obviously Metal Threat. You didn't wind up making it to the States for that.
Yeah, we couldn't make it. It was a issue about visa denied, and so what do you do then?
Like we had Nocturnal on here, we had Slaughter Messiah, all those bands that wound up not making it over there.
Yeah, I really wish, but was not meant to happen this time. The Orange Man didn't want us in the country.
You were born outside of Helsinki. You were born in like the countryside?
Yeah, in the countryside, you know, in the western parts, in a small village, you know, where I lived, you know, a couple of first years, and then later on to move to another crappy village of, you know, this is where I spent my childhood. Like this is a village of for like 3,000 people, so I don't know what else to tell about it. It's literally middle of nowhere.
And I think you're pretty much the same age bracket as us. You're born in 77?
77, yes.
When you were growing up, did you come from actually like a musical household? Like were you surrounded by music at a young age?
Yes, not by the parents, you know, but by my brother. I have a older brother, 5 years older than me, so he got all the good stuff, you know. That is the root of all evil for me, you know. So that's where I learned all kind of like heavy metal things at a very early age, for sure. Yeah.
Do you remember the first band or first song that caught your attention as a kid?
Not really. That was a lot of all kind of mixed kind of music, you know, all kind of like a rock stuff. And I remember being very impressed at the age of something like 5 or 6, you know. I remember seeing, you know, like just seeing the covers of albums like Number of the Beast and Mob Rules, you know. I was fucking scared shitless just of the covers, but I didn't hear those that time, you know. But I don't know. My brother brought a lot of all kind of records to the home, so I was listening to whatever he brought in there. Sometimes it was like some hard rock, and sometimes it was just some like popular music, you know. I remember being very, very much a big fan of like a Kim Wilde, you know, as a child, for example.
And you were also a big Kiss fan.
Yes.
Still are.
Yes, absolutely.
Do you have a favorite member of the band? Obviously, we just lost Ace not too long ago.
Ace Frehley, of course.
Yeah, Ace. How about the
Yeah.
solo albums? Personally, the Ace Frehley's the best solo, right? Then you go to Paul, probably.
I think the Ace one is probably the only like a worthy one, you know. That's that's a fucking killer album, you know, from the beginning to the end, you know. And it's I think pretty much all it's just bangers, you know. And Paul record has a couple of good tunes also. The rest don't care too much, you know. Gene has a few of them, and
Peter Criss.
we'll not speak about Peter.
Exactly. That was just an odd one. And when was the first time you saw Kiss live?
That has been sometimes in the 90s, you know, pretty late, you know, and in 20s. I don't remember. I have seen a Kiss a bunch of times, you know, but I never saw them with Ace. That sucks, you know. That's the only thing, you know. I don't know. They played a lot of big shows in Finland, but it took a while for me.
Do you have a favorite Kiss record?
I was like, what?
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Yeah, what was I saying? But yeah, it took me a while to see Kiss live, you know. But that was pretty much the first band that I remember being like the actual like a fan of. You know, there's like a first year class, you know, picture of me in the school. You know, I was in right away in the first class, you know, with the band shirt, and that was Kiss.
Do you have a favorite Kiss record?
Definitely Hotter Than Hell. That's my favorite. That or like Rock and Roll Over, very close second.
Did you get into any of the non-makeup records?
Well, for the first ones I heard was like the later ones, you know. I think the first one I was listening to was like Animalize, or I don't know which year was that. It's like 83 or 4 or something like that. Or possibly Lick It Up. I can't really remember, but
were you a Vinnie Vincent fan at all?
Yeah, hell yeah. I like the Vinnie Vincent Invasion albums also. Those are cool.
What's your favorite band? Is Iron Maiden or
No,
Judas Priest?
Yeah. Used to be Maiden, you know, when I was a kid, but you know, later on I realized that Priest is where the shit is at.
Do you have a favorite Priest record?
Yeah, for sure. Sad Wings.
Heaviest was what? We always say Painkiller is the heaviest Priest album.
Yeah, that was crazy when it came out. I remember, you know, Painkiller, you know, it's like you saw the video came on even in Finland on some music programs that time, you know. What was that, 90 or what?
Yeah, 90 that came out, that record, which is crazy to think about.
And you think that, well, you came pretty long way from rock-a-rolla to that sound, you know.
That video too, like you're talking about that video, I can remember when they world premiered it. It would have been Headbangers Ball, I think they premiered it on, and like, you know, had all the chains hanging from the ceiling and shit. It just
like a black and white video, you know.
Travis changed that band.
Yeah,
for sure.
I remember Ed. I remember picking that record up in '90, and I just like we were saying a couple minutes ago, to think it was 1990. Did you remember the first record you actually picked up yourself, like with your own cash?
No. It was like I first I bought like tapes, you know. And like I told you, know, anyway, mostly I listened to the music by like I was listening to my brother's records, you know, and I dubbed tapes from him, you know. I don't know, at some point, you know, when he moved out, you know, then I had to start, you know, buying records on my own, but I can't remember really. And of the probably, I don't know, it was tapes, you know, probably something like Dio, Motley Crue, some tapes or something like that, you know.
I'm figuring if you're growing up in the countryside, right, you can't get to, there's not probably a shitload of record stores around you. That's probably not a thing for you.
No, absolutely not. You know, about that I can tell you, you know, I don't remember the first record I bought, you know, but I remember the first CD I bought, you know, because in somewhere it was something like 91 or something like that. I got, you know, like my first like my CD player, you know, and that was a fancy thing, you know. And those cost a lot of money back then, you know. Yeah, and that time, you know, I had to go our nearest, you know, because we lived in the fucking countryside, so the nearest town was like almost 100 kilometers away, so like a 1 hour drive, you know, which of course, nowadays it feels like nothing, but when you're a kid, it's like an eternity, And I went there, this town called Seinäjoki in the western Finland, it's a small one, but they had one pretty good record store there, and we sold all kind of like underground stuff also, and it was like in 90 or 91, I don't remember, but I remember I bought, the first CD ever I bought from there was Nocturnus, the key to my fancy new CD player, and I bought it just because of I never heard of it, but just because of earache and, and pentagrams and all the covers and like that. Well, that's when like a earache was the stamp of approval, And I remember, it's like I was driving back. I wasn't driving my dad or something, driving back from the long way from the store, and to our town, to our village, and I was like unwrapping the CD there, that I spent a fucking shitloads of money, on, and then I saw, I was just looking at the band pictures, the promo shots, that they, with all these mullets and, and then I saw like a keyboard player and like that, and I wanted to like cry, and then I want to go, can I take this back, band kind of like a looks like Europe or something like that, but luckily I didn't, because it's fucking killer record, Took it home and listened to it and approved it, but I remember the shock, about the keyboard player and all of this, I told this to Mike Browning, and he found it funny,
Were you a fan of some of the other Tampa bands like the Deicides and the,
Of
you know,
course.
obviously, the Atheists and stuff?
Of course, what else, is well, those were the bands, that you could get here also, and we had like this, like a weekly radio program, here that played like underground stuff,
Klaus Fleming, was that the same?
Klaus Fleming, yeah, that's the guy, yes, and
It's funny because every Finnish band we have on here, Klaus Fleming always plays a part because of the Metal Alliance and stuff like that you guys had.
yeah, Metal Union, Metalliliitto, that was the holy moment of the week, and it's like, I can't stretch enough the importance of that, it's like, listened every week, Wednesday, 7:00, and recording the tracks from that. And I remember, when like the Deicide album came out, I think Klaus, he was so impressed about it also, that he played like a 3 or 4 songs, from that in the one program. So that was the shit for sure, yes.
What was the first show you went to?
That is a good question. I can't remember, it was some kind of pop bands of that time. I remember like my cousin, this girl wanted to go to something like that when I've been an actual show. I think it was like this band like it's called Dingo, that was a big phenomenon, That's the first time I remember being in some like live concert, I wasn't interested in that, but they took me there, and I see it, but first proper show I ever went to, that is for sure. I know that was Sepultura on the Arise tour in 91.
Giants of Rock
Yeah,
Fest?
that is it. That's it, that's the one that ruined my life, that's
That event is when you really kind of got in touch with like the whole underground flyer world and demo world because people were handing out outside the gig the flyers and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was a little bit, like a couple of years after late for the actual scene, happening. So I started to go to that kind of shows in 91, and all the good Finnish underground bands already in 91, they started to wimp out already, but that's when I started to get like flyers and fanzines and like this, and yeah. 91, I was 14 then, but that's the first time my mom let me out of house ever to go by myself, somewhere, and I went to see Sepultura, and that was something very impressive.
This time period we start getting into the heavier shit because, right, like Power Slave from '84 and like At War with Satan, that was big influences on you, kind of making that
Yes.
change.
Yes, those ones, Power Slave was, like I told you, the first time I saw like a Maiden record, it's just, as a kid I saw it, so I knew about Maiden, but the first time I heard it, was my brother brought home was Power Slave, and that blew my mind, and then like a year later, especially the live one, Live After Death.
What were some of the venues that you remember visiting as a kid, and like in your teenage years, what were some of the ones you were going to? In Helsinki, probably.
No. I mean, there was not much anything going on in Helsinki at those times. I mean, as for the underground shows, the things were happening mostly. They had this kind of like it's kind of like in this area. It's 1 hour from Helsinki. Is a place called Riihimäki. That's where I went to a lot of times. I traveled, and I don't know, but these underground shows, they were all around the country at those times, mostly in smaller towns. Helsinki was not much of a thing then, honestly.
When do you first actually pick up an instrument? You picked up a guitar because you had to. You didn't really want to.
Yeah.
So when is the first time you actually picked one up and, or any instrument? Was that your first instrument that you actually tried?
No, first instrument I played was like a trumpet or something. I mean, some kind of brass stuff, because my parents forced me to go to this kind of some kind of musical school, like that. But I went, but whatever, it was okay, and it was cool because you could at least learn some kind of like a theory of music. But I was more interested in rocking, so to say. So later on, I was like, just fuck this, and yeah, it's like I never really started playing guitar because I wanted, but it's just because we formed a band. We decided, I think it was like 89 or 90 that we decided with a couple of friends that we form a band, and in the end, all the other instruments were taken, so I had to pick up guitar. I don't I don't actually like playing guitar, I still don't, but I still have to.
Are you self-taught?
Yes. I still don't know shit.
When do you first realize that you want to be in a band?
I don't know, probably listening to a Kiss record. seeing that kind of pictures, like Kiss and Motley Crue and and Venom, like you said,
So-
and then the final nail in the coffin, that Sepultura show, definitely.
The drummer Saplo and then Yossi, are those the first guys you wound up jamming with?
No, actually not. I started to play with Seppo, the drummer, and then first we had a different guy playing the bass, and so the first, kind of like a band we started, it was like that's one which we later called Apoplexy, that we made the first demo with, so first we started playing just covers, just to learn how to play. So we played some things like Sepultura and Sodom and Metallica and some Finnish rock bands like Popeda, this was just about learning how to put this shit together. But we had like a different bass player that time, but yeah. Jussi came later on, when we started the recording some shit.
And who came up with the name Apoplexy?
No clue, it's I don't know, that was I think we were everybody just throwing around some names, so we had to pick up something, for it, because when we recorded the first demo, we played the first show before of that, but I don't remember under what name it was, but.
And that was your first time performing in front of people, was with that band?
Yeah, terrible.
You guys are rehearsing at what, a youth club, like a youth club / movie theater?
Yes, we played in like a downstairs of like a, oh, it was like a youth house, but where they had like a movie theater also, and we played in the basement of that, and got into a lot of trouble for that also. We didn't check too much about the times, when they had some other activities there. Sometimes we had rehearsals while they are having like showing a movie upstairs. People were not too happy about that.
For watching a movie while Apoplexy is playing behind the
Yeah.
the soundtrack. And,
Exactly.
how long does it take you to come up with the material for the first demo? Was it you guys did a demo in '92?
Yes, I don't know. I don't remember. It just came eventually. At that point, we had already been playing, a couple of years. But this, you have to count in that in this time we were just, also just actually learning how to play the instruments at all. So we made actually one demo before of that also, but it was so hideous, that I'm very happy that it's
Not out.
lost somewhere.
And that demo from '92, you recorded that in your friend's barn?
Yes, it was recorded in a barn on a 4-tracker.
And you guys added another guitar player, Sammy, and then you guys changed your name after that to Excrement?
Yes. Don't ask me why, Well, I know it's well, wasn't maybe the smartest name change ever. I just thought it sounded brutal, it's English is not my native language, so I just thought it sounded cool, and that it would maybe make a cool logo, which we never also got, but whatever.
Yeah, 'cause I saw you guys had, I think, like, what I saw from the demo covers, and, you guys had you guys were using different logos on the material, right, pretty much for those?
Yeah, there was different logos. I made one and some were made by some other guys, and all of them equally shitty.
You guys are all still friends, right? But you all had different kind of, like, directions you wanted to go to when you guys were doing that band?
Well, yeah, yeah, we remain friends until now still, but it was pretty clear that the other guys were not interested in this kind of thing. And all of them musically talented guys, but it's like they wanted to do some other things, and first of all, it was like a fun thing to do, at least some kind of musical thing, like a band together, but it was like clear that they were not really into death metal, so they started to do some other kind of music, and I don't know, it just happened, it's one day I just realized, that at the show, we were supposed to play a show, and people are not fucking coming, and I mean like the actual band members, they're not showing up, so
Shit, that's a problem.
I figured out, I guess we're not the band anymore.
You did do a demo in '93, right? You guys did the Flesh and Blood
Yes.
demo. You also had, which kind of ties in, you have a Carnifex. You guys have a history with that band.
Yes.
You had guest vocals from Kimmo on that demo.
Yeah.
Veo would become your drummer. So that all kind of ties together. So how many shows did you go end up doing with that band? Were you guys very live active before you guys ended?
No. I think, well, played some shows, but probably like less than 10. And most of those were just, in our area, in the countryside of Finland, So just like local shows, I remember that time, like a dream was, to go to play that place, what I told you about, which was in the south of Finland, Riihimäki, where all the good, like underground shows at that time were, but it's, that was the dream those times, to go to play a show in Riihimäki. It's funny to think about it now, but
Who were some of the bands you guys were playing with at that time? Like, you guys have like friends bands, or you just playing with whoever that you can get on the bill?
yeah, no, I mean, there was no any scene in that area except for like a Carnifex were kind of close, and for me, those guys were like the ultimate death metal gods, so we played with them, and and a local, you know, we had another metal band in our village called Depression. It's like a thrash metal, but like an instrumental thrash metal. It's their guitarist who recorded our demo, the first one, the Apoplexy demo, you know. But that's pretty much it. Couple of semi-local bands, you know, not much to write home about.
The band ends, but there was like some re-releases, right? Because Flesh and Blood demo got some releases on Old Skull Productions and a vinyl release on Rotting Misery eventually and stuff.
Yes.
So you see, yeah, they still got reissues of that material.
Yeah, there's been surprisingly much, you know, I mean, demand, I don't know, I mean, requests to do those kind of things. It's pretty cool, you know. I still like that 93 demo, Flesh and Blood one, you know. It's okay for what it is, you know, but yeah, it was really released on vinyl a couple of years ago and CD maybe 1-2 years ago.
I'm actually going to play the track Dead Meat from the Flesh and Blood demo. Anything you could tell us about this track?
Oh, well, don't remember anything. Well, don't remember anything about, you know, from these times really. It's one of the tracks from the demo. That's it, you know. It's pretty okay one, if you ask me now. And it's a shame we didn't do it again, you know, on what was supposed to be the first full length, you know. This was supposed to be on that one also. And
I'm going to play that now. I'm going to play Dead Meat from the Excrement demo from 93. It was titled Flesh and Blood. It was the demo's title. We'll be back right after this with Necroterror. Excrement with Dead Meat. So so the band ends, and are you kind of like at this point, are you guys, you're kind of thinking yourself, okay, what's next? Like what's the next step? Because if you're in a small village, just a small countryside, so to say, you don't have 15 drummers or 25 guitar players at your door, right? Or bass players and
Yeah,
stuff. So
not even one.
yeah, exactly. So what are you thinking when this ends?
I think we quit the band in like 95, something like this, and then, well, I didn't have really much options, then to do, and I was kind of like burned out about the thing also when I realized, you can't do this shit here. So I was just like finishing the high school, and then I had to go to the military, to do the army service, and fucked off from that place, after that.
How was the military experience?
Well, it was brutal. I was doing that, in not the easiest place, in some kind of guerrilla troops, it's like that. It was like a really funny thing, I don't know how that even happened, because that's the kind of place, where you have to actually apply to, and that's where they normally choose guys who are, who's like in general, they are, have hobbies like hunting, and going, hiking and shit like this, and I was like, oh, none of this fits me, but they still put me there, so I don't know, I still don't know why, but I mean, it was fucking terrible, but it's a cool thing to remember afterwards, I wasn't laughing then,
Exactly. What, 94 around this time period?
The military stuff I did in 96. And after that, I mean, Excrement quit in 95. Then after that, I was just like, fuck it, and then finished the school, went to military. Then I moved to after that, right after the army service, I moved to the southern Finland, to study, and started looking some other band then.
And at this time period, are you like starting to venture out more into like outside the countryside and stuff, and like kind of, starting to network a little bit with other musicians?
Well, I had been doing that a lot already, before, so because like I told you, in the early 90s, I traveled a lot, to the underground shows, around the country, but in the same time also you have to, I mean, Finnish underground death metal completely died anyway, and it was not a lot of interesting things then. So by the time I moved to the south of Finland, and I thought, I can form some new band or something like that, but it was really, really difficult to find any kind of members to play, especially death metal,
How do you wind up meeting Henrik and Timu and Daniel?
So you speak about Deepred. Yes.
That was your next project, Deepred?
Well, that was the next band, yes. I was placing some, I mean, at that time, you played some ads, to some music magazines and some stores and like this, to look for, before that is like a pre-internet still. I mean, it's starting then, but I was clueless, And I remember I was looking for like a death metal band, and in like a Helsinki area, and these guys contact me, or I don't remember, it was the other way around, was actually, it was a guy from like a Latin American guy from El Salvador that he wanted to have this kind of band, which was in the style of like Suffocation and Cannibal Corpse and like that, and they asked me if I want to try out with them, and that's it, I thought, first of all, even though I like all of those bands, I mean, what I mentioned, I love the old school Cannibal, and Suffocation and like that, but that was something, not very common in Finland for sure at that time. So, but I thought, whatever, it's death metal at least, so let's give it a try. Those guys, who you mentioned later, those guys came later on.
Were they familiar, those guys, with Scorched? This was the last EP you wound up doing. with Excrement. Were they familiar with your material from that band? These guys?
Yeah, they had heard because we got played in in Metalliliitto, so and everybody listens to that one. So
What, 98? You start jamming with Henrik, Timu, and Daniel in Deepred. And then that's from the old movie, the old horror movie, correct? That title, 75.
yes, Argento movie, yes, of course.
This band, which we'll talk about, you wear many different hats. Like you're the vocalist in 99, right? Then you do guitars eventually for a couple of years. Then you wind up being the bassist. But early on, is there like a chemistry between you guys?
Well, yeah, I did. I mean, for the first demo we did, we were just like a 3-piece, and so I had to play. I mean, we didn't even have a bass player, you know. We were just a drummer, you know, and 2 guitars, you know, and somebody had to do the vocals. So I did that because somebody has to.
The first demo is the All Will See Rebirth demo. In November, you guys did that in 99. What studio did you guys record that at? MD Studios?
That's the second demo. Both these 2 demos from Deepred, both of them were recorded in the same studio. This is like from the Helsinki city for like young demo bands a chance to record something, but they had like a different people coming, you know, like some rotation of who's coming, you know, like they were working for the city, you know. So I mean the producers there, so who's doing the recording. So on the first time we made the first Deepred demo, we had like a really professional guy. This is like some guy, he later on, I mean, in those times already started, you know, he produced things like, you know, him and, you know, this band, you know, but some of the biggest Finnish bands ever, you know, so it's like a really professional guy, you know. And then later on the same year, we recorded the second demo there at the same place, but with some guy, I have no clue, and it sounded fucking terrible. Same studio, but, you know, different guy, so it makes a big difference.
So yours is Murder was actually the first one then, the first demo.
That's the first demo, yes.
Okay, All Will See Rebirth is the second demo then.
Yes.
And when is your first live gig with the band?
First show for Deepred was, oh shit. It was, yeah. It was a funny occasion. It was it was in Harjavalta. This is like in the west part of Finland, you know, like maybe like a 4 hours drive from Helsinki, and on something like a Tuesday night. There was this Slovakian brutal death metal band, Sanatorium, was on a tour then, you know, and we were booked for this show like on the weekend before, you know, and we had not any experience about playing live, you know, and we had something like 3-4 days, you know, to get to prepare for this. This was organized by the main guy from Torsofuck, you know. That was his hometown, you know, where we played, and he booked us there, you know, in a few days' notice, you know. I remember Tuesday night, after the work and everything, we drove there and played the show for like 5 punks sitting on the ground, you know, and then drove back.
Are you someone who enjoys doing shows? Are you like more of a live guy than a studio guy in general?
Well, if the conditions are right, you know, I mean, used to used to enjoy any fucking bullshit, you know, occasion, but, you know, not anymore, obviously. But yeah, I like playing live, you know, as long as the conditions are somewhat decent, you know, and can hear myself and all of that, you know.
You guys, after that, you guys go actually do your first full length in the studio, and this is released by Blunt Force Records. Is this the first label that you're actually really involved with as a kid?
We had a bunch of, you know, some offers after the demos for the Deepred album, but I wanted to work, with blunt force because I knew the guy Jason from Dying Fetus at that time, and they started their label at that time, and of course we being, I was very big fan of Dying Fetus, since the first demo. He was, actually Jason. He was like the first ever, like international guy, to order our demo, the Apoplexy demo in '92. Yeah, Jason from Dying Fetus, and I mean, it didn't. Yeah, we made a trade. He wrote me that I have this band called Dead Fetus. So I said, "Fuck yeah, send me the Dead Fetus demo." But in the mail came Dying Fetus demo. So we had already a kind of like a history with at that time.
Were you into tape trading and stuff? Obviously you were, but who were some of the guys you were trading with back then?
Oh, I don't know. Way too many. Way too many, but I don't know. I was totally crazy about the tape trading stuff, in
I
the
know
early
Reifert
days.
was doing it back then, and then you had Dawn of the Dead and those guys. Any of them?
Well, I did not trade with those guys, but I was a couple of years late for that party. But a bunch of bands, around, I went, and when I lived in that fucking bullshit village, of 3,000 people back then, I went to. They hated me at my local post office, and it was every day they looked at that fucking crazy dude, as coming with a fucking plastic bag full of demos to send, Well, starting to look, where is this fucking Guatemala?
Exactly. Yeah, I remember those days too. And in 2000, what was it, 2002, you do a split with Slugathor. That's your first time on vinyl as a kid, that one, or a teenager, I should say.
That or I don't remember. Maybe the split with Dying Fetus came before. I'm not sure, but I think they came the same year.
You wind up be a part of Slugathor, and you only did a select recordings with them. At times, you weren't available for the recordings with them, but you were involved with them as early as 2002.
Yeah, I joined Slugathor in 2002 or 1. I'm not really sure, That's the band, really. I was really big fan of, like, since the beginning, because it was like, I mean, like I told you, I started to play with Deepred before, but I couldn't find, before members who would have been into that kind of sound, what was like a Slugathor, like the more old school one, more like a primitive traditional death metal. They started a little bit after us, and I was really a big fan of it, right away. After they did 2 demos, and after that, the original lineup, I don't know what happened. A few guys left from that, so then they asked me to play. So I was like, fuck yeah.
And
I was, with them, from 2001, I think, until, I was, most of the time I was part of the band, but I was not in the recordings of the first 2 albums because I was not available at those times. But even those times, I was still the member of the band.
And you were on the promo tape or the promo CD, right, from 2002? You played on that.
Yeah, that's the first recording we made.
And, we'll talk more about that band too, but even back in Deepred 2002, you did the split with Dying Fetus, like you mentioned, that came out on a Relapse. Did a split with Francis Loathing. Then you guys did the EP titled The Crime. What had 3 live tracks, 3 studio tracks on it. I know one of the members was stabbed to death, right, in 2005. Tomas?
A member of Slugathor was stabbed to death. Yeah. That happened in 2004 or 5. Well, that did not stop the band playing because Slugathor went onwards after. It just made, again, changes in the lineup. First I was, when I joined Slugathor, it was for the guitar, and at that point, then at some point, I switched to bass, and after Tuomas died, then I switched back to guitar. I don't know, those were pretty like a hazy times, so to say. So
And why did with Deepred, why did the band stop playing together? Like,
well, I don't know. It was like it was going pretty good, and we made, I would say, too many shows, and because we made like a couple of played all the time in Finland, and we made a couple of European tours, and one in like in Latin America also, and we were really like burnt out after that, and some stupid shit, just more like personal issues at that time that we couldn't really get along, We were young and mature, and something like that. I don't even remember, it's we had another European tour, lined up in 2004, I think, and we were already, booked for the shows, and already had, like tickets to go to the Europe, for this, and we were just, I don't remember it. We reached some kind of point that we couldn't get along anymore. So at that point, we just said, we're not doing this. So we switched the names. And our French band, Torture Killer, went there to do that tour instead of us.
Even though you guys did split up in 2023, there was a comp that came out on Morbid Cellar Records from Finland.
Yeah, that's the, I mean, like that's the compilation of the demos that has the 2 demos compiled and one like unreleased track, which we didn't release at that time, That was a Morbid Angel cover, Rapture, which was just recorded just for fun in some of those, demo sessions back then.
I'm going to play a track from Deepred now. I'm going to play, it's from 2003. It's Trapped Under Grave from the Crime EP that came out on American Line Productions. Anything you could tell us about this song?
Oh, was a fan favorite at the time, at the live shows.
This is Deepred with Trapped Under Grave. We'll be back with Necroterror after this track on the Tampa Morgue. And that was Deepred, Trapped Under Grave. And 2004, you move on, and you, Timu, and Ilka decide to form Cadaveric Incubator.
Yes, that was that was exactly the time that we we split up, you know, with Deepred, and we wanted to do, but we still wanted to play, you know, with this. I mean, okay, I formed this with Ilkka, you know, the guitarist, you know. We still wanted to play together, but we wanted to do something different, you know, more like a primitive, you know, and because Deepred had been kind of like more like the technical kind of band, you know, so we wanted to do something different that time, you know, and first we had a lot tried out with a couple of different drummers, you know, but in the end we just picked up the same guy for the demo recording who was demo, you know, who was also in Deepred.
Obviously, the name's taken from the Symphonies of Sickness album. You know, the
Yes.
band's name. And influence-wise, what would you say? Like Autopsy, Repulsion, Entombed and stuff?
Well, you said it.
There you go.
Repulsion, Carcass, and that's it, you know, mostly.
And what's your favorite period of Carcass?
Reek of Putrefaction, definitely.
And when you guys were writing this material, I had read some, I'd read some interviews with you and stuff, and it said that the material kind of just came very fast, right? You guys pretty much demoed it really fast and wrote it really fast. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was like, because this band was not supposed to be something, you know, serious at all. So we were just jamming together, you know, and one thing you realize, we have enough shit for a demo, so we just recorded. We didn't even have the band name at that time yet. We recorded the demo first, you know, and then started to think that I guess we have to put it out, you know. And this was mostly just for the fun jams for us, for ourselves.
Was there any like different names you guys were tossing out band name wise before you guys chose that?
No. It was a drunk night at my guitarist Ilkka's place, you know, and we're listening. We had a demo recorded and we were thinking of this, and we were listening to symphonies, and I just picked up something from there, you know, and it's one of those things. Maybe you should have, you know, made a little bit more effort to pick up a band name, you know, but we were not taking it especially seriously, you know, at that time anyway. So band needed a name, and there's a name. I wanted to have, you know, like a 2-piece name, you know, with again, which would probably make a cool logo. So that's all to it. All there is to it.
Who did that original logo?
Original one was made by the same guy who made the cover art for the first demo. This is Tommy from my previous band, Slugathor. At that time, you know, he's the main guy. He made like apart from all like compositions and everything, you know, he made all the artworks for all the Slugathor albums and like that. And he's our guy until today, still, you know, as far as like the album artwork goes.
When you guys do that demo, where did you guys record that at?
Just at rehearsal place, you know, with the most primitive equipment available. You know.
And you guys got offers right away when you guys put that demo out by labels?
Yes. I mean, really shitty ones also, and like that. I remember first we already kind of like agreed for, I remember like a Razorback Records wanted to sign us, and I really liked their releases at those times, you know, so I was really interested in about this, you know, but then things happened, you know, and this first formation of this band, you know, didn't last very long anyway, so we never made it to make that one.
And you guys, that demo also came out on that Fetal Decay split and Immortalized?
Yes. It was like the year right after that we recorded the demo, you know, me and Ilkka, we went on like a backpacking tour, you know, in the east of Europe at that time, you know, and so we just went on some kind of alcoholic, you know, adventures, you know, on a trip, you know, and we had just like a freshly recorded demo of our new band, so we took a bunch of them, you know, big pile of those, you know, they're handing out to people because we were attending a couple of couple of like festivals also in like Ukraine and Poland and like this. So we spread a lot of those demos there, and right after that, we got like a offer from these guys from Moscow, Russian guys. They said that they want to. First, they said that they want to bring us to play in Russia, like a tour. And we were like, okay, but we have not played in even one show ever, yet.
And this is SFC Records?
Yes, and then they wanted as a promotion. So we agreed to do that. So the first shows for Cadaveric Incubator ever, was already like a tour in Russia, and the label putting that together, it was like a label. So they say that to promote this thing, they wanted to put it out, on this kind of like a CD. So we agreed, do whatever you want with it. So we went with that.
In 2005, you guys did record something else too, but you couldn't stand it, so you got rid of it?
Yeah, we recorded another demo, Coffin Defiler demo. It was like 4 or 5 songs, and I don't know, it was just like I hated it, and it was just like, I'm not fucking releasing this, only one track from that, the main,
which we'll play at the end of the show, actually.
Yeah, Coffin Defiler, that one remained from that session, and unfortunately, I mean, probably it wasn't that bad, but those are on some destroyed files somewhere, so they are never coming back, the second demo.
And when do you decide that, like, obviously you guys split up in 2007, as you mentioned a few minutes ago, but what was the reason, and when did you decide to call it quits for that time period?
Well, it was also the same thing like with Deepred, because we were like really active about playing shows, and let's just say a lot of madness happening during those, and in the end, it was, January 2000, in the beginning of 2007, that was a tour of Anal Cunt in Finland, that we were the support band. I booked that tour, and Cadaveric was a support band, and a lot of things happened, and in the end, our drummer said, not going anywhere with you and ever again.
How was that tour with Anal Cunt? How was that experience with Anal Cunt touring with them? Say, was it a circus every night, pretty much?
Yes. Well, it was a lot of fun, but it resulted in our band, for example, breaking up. So
yeah, and then we talked about the Slugathor with the first 2 albums you're not on, but you played bass on the 2004 promo, the 3-song promo you guys did.
Yeah, that was like the demos for the songs of the Circle of Death album. So I was on that, but yeah, actually it was, because exactly what I told you about this earlier, about this trip I made with, with another Cadaveric guy, in 2005, we went to this backpacking trip, in Ukraine and Transylvania, like this, so guys, the Slugathor guys, they recorded that album, Circle of Death, while I was away, out of country, I was just like, fine, whatever, do that.
Yeah, because you're also on the fuck you, fuck off, in the Evil Angel split they did. You're on that, and then Age of Terror in 2006.
That's some live show recording.
The first 2 full lengths, you're not there. Between 2000 and 2008, Echoes from Beneath with Slugathor. How was that experience for you recording that?
Well, very good. I'm very happy to be part of that one, because I think that one is definitely like the peak Slugathor album. So I tried to get at that time, my shit together, and actually show up to the album recording.
Yeah, where'd you guys record that at? Was that wasn't a home studio, right? You guys used? That was actual professional studio?
That's like I don't know, it's professional studio, but a guy from town Hyvinkää, where all those first albums were Slugathor albums. They were all recorded in the same place, you know. So the same guy, Jani Loikas, made that one also, and that was the place to go those times.
You came out on Drakkar, and then also, what, 2 years you spent with, Torsofuck, and you also with that band, you actually put together their live lineup for that? Because you did well, I know we'll talk about some of the shows you guys played, but you actually put that lineup together for Mikko?
Yes. Yeah, I think it was 2007 or something like that. So, because I'm been, you know, friend with Mikko, the main Torsofuck guy, you know, since a long time, and so yeah, 2007 something like early that year, you know, he asked me to, because he started again, you know, wanted to play live again, because obviously, you know, the latest their recordings, the classic ones, they are made like just like a drum machine. But he had been getting so many, you know, requests for live shows. He asked me then can you find me guys in lineup? First he asked me, can you play the guitar, you know, and find, you know, the lineup to play some shows, you know, live. So I did.
You guys did Maryland Death Fest in 2008. That was your first time in the US?
Yeah, that was my first time playing with the band in the US.
What was
Maryland
your
Death
first
Fest.
What was your thoughts of, when you first got, you know, how different from it was from Finland and stuff? Or what was your first, like, what would you say, your first, thoughts of the United States?
Well, it was not my first time visiting there. I had been already a couple of times, you know, and I went to like a Maryland Death Fest, you know, before of that already, you know, like just to see the bands, you know, and first time I went to the States already in the 90s, you know, so I was familiar with this place, you know, the other guys not so much, you know, and it was like that was very, very, very chaotic trip. I mean, to show guys, you know, some Finnish guys, you know, when you go to show them Baltimore, you know, it's not maybe something that you expect from after
Shock at first?
watching TV. I don't think The Wire was going on at that time yet, you know.
You also played Mexico in 2008. How was that experience? And I heard there was a show that someone actually got murdered outside the venue at a gig?
Yeah, that was the same trip, you know. We first we did the Maryland Death Fest, and few days after that we flew to Mexico to do a couple of weeks tour, you know, and that was very, very brutal trip for sure. All kind of debauchery, and yeah, and to top that off, you know, it's first part of the tour we played with Squash Bowels the first week, and I don't know, we didn't notice anything, but the next day after the show, you know, in Mexico City, the next day they showed us some kind of crime news, you know, local news, that the promoters show that, oh, this dude was murdered outside the venue while you were playing. You know. We had no clue, but apparently it happened.
And that was, you guys do that, you do those shows, and you split up with, Torsofuck after 2009, stop playing with them?
Yes. Well, what can I say? Things started to go a bit wild with this thing also in regards of all kind of, you know, other shit happening, you know, during because we took everything out of, you know, our gig trips. You know. It started to be a bit too much like a Gigi Allen style for some members. So the last show we played in Russia in the late 2009, you know.
You know, and we talk about this on the show often with our guests, you know, that's when you really, like, when you're touring with the guys, right? Or you're on a long road trips with guys, that's when you really find out who's meant to be in bands and who's not to be. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, for sure. It's you think you know somebody.
After a couple days, you kinda see the real, you know, what's to be. In 2010, you leave Slugathor, but you guys, so that record, Crypt of the Ancient Fire, that was actually not from 2022, right? That was actually recorded in 2010, but the band scrapped it?
Yeah, I mean split up Slugathor in 2009, actually, also around the same time as with Torsofuck. So we played our last show late in 2009 with Slugathor. But the thing was that at that point, we had already, the main guy Tommy had so much material already still written, and we decided still to, even after we split up, we decided, because we had been already rehearsing those new songs. So we decided still to record those in 2010 after officially splitting up the band. So we wanted to make like one final release, but I don't know, the initial album, we were so unhappy about the result. We thought that material is pretty okay, but decided to scrap it, in the end, because especially after, like I told you, I think all of us, we thought about the previous album, Echoes from Beneath, was definitely, the peak Slugathor album. So why to release something subpar, after that? So we, scrapped that one, but yeah, it was some kind of idea a couple of years ago. That recording was finished, finally. So it's available now as well.
When you look back on that material now, do you still dislike it, or have you has it grown on you?
Honestly, still don't like it, but it's got some parts for it, but for me that sounds like, now it sounds so much better than it would have been. It's great that we waited that time, because now it became so much better than it would have been, then, because a lot of things could be fixed, with nowadays technology, better than back in those times. Still, I feel it's a little bit like a soulless release,
Why did the band end? Because you guys had been through a lot of stuff together. You had band members who were killed and stuff. Like, what made you guys decide, like, hey, this is in 2009, or this is the end, we don't want to do this anymore? Was that a group decision? Did you guys kind of all come to that term together?
Yeah. Well, it was mostly about the main guy, Tommy, who, he's the soul of the band, he composed all the material, and like I told, makes all the artworks and everything like that. So he decided in 2009, he said that he don't want to play live anymore, and at that time we thought, that it's our definition of a band is that a band plays live too, and like this. And we just decided to let it go. And it was pretty cool because, it's because we had, a good, like a date, because the first show ever of Slugathor was in 99. So don't remember the actual date, but, something like November or like that. But, we booked, the final show of Slugathor on the exact same day, like 10 years later in 2009. So we thought it was like a fitting thing to do. But, that was mostly like Tommy's decision, that he wanted to quit playing live, and he just wanted to make music, by himself, and this is what he has been doing. He started right after he started, this his own project, Dissects, and with that, I already lost count how many albums he released, like probably 8, 9, full albums after that. So
then you would get done with that, and then now you decide 2013, 2014, is it, that you decided Cadaveric Incubator's coming back, and that's, is it first at you? It's you and Veaho, the drummer.
Well, I had been hoping, to put back, when we quit Cadaveric in the beginning of 2007, it wasn't. I just thought, that it was not some kind of definitive end. I just thought that I wanted, because I already had, like material written for it, and I just thought, I was just really full of like a band life in general. I didn't want to do it, and I thought, I will, like continue this probably one day if I find right members, And that happened then when, I spoke with Veijo, who I already knew from the early 90s, because he was in Carnifex. He was like our local death metal guys, and those times, we started to speak about this, at the Repulsion show, because me and him, we were both watching, and we should have this kind of band. And I said, well, I kind of have already, do you still play drums? He was like, sure. So let's give it a try.
And it's you, him, and Ilkka that's the first reformed lineup of the band?
Yeah, first it was just me and Veijo. We decided to put this together, but then it was like an easy choice, I asked Ilkka if he wants to come back, to play the guitar again, because we had some personal differences at those times, when we split up the band, but that was already 7 years between, so we got through of those, and so we decided that it's time to play again.
You guys do that on Unburied Abominations demo that comes out in 2014, and a couple of those tracks date back to 2007?
Yeah. Yeah, some of those were like the old tracks, I had already back then, which were supposed to come back those times, so I basically had the full like a demo written already when we reformed.
What was the first show you guys did back after the demo in 2015?
No clue. some local show, some local Helsinki show, then I don't remember, because at that time, there started to be already, some kind of like a revival. There had been starting to these like a new younger bands, so death metal bands started playing again. So there was a lot of shows in that time. So I don't remember.
You guys are doing 2015. You guys play Finnish Death Metal Maniacs Fest with Arcgoat, Pestigore, Convulse, Cemetery Fog. You guys are also playing with Malicious Death, Pyre, Rip Ride, Incantation back then and stuff. You mentioned the scene back then, and you guys do have a lot of good young bands coming out of there. In 2015, what is some that really surprised you that you actually get into? Because are you, as you're same age as me, is it harder for you? Because me and Ed always say on this show, it's hard for us to get into new bands sometimes. I feel like it's just part of like what happens to you eventually. Like it's so much easier to go back to the old records constantly. And are you the same way in that aspect?
Yeah, it's really, really, really difficult to get to get into the new bands for sure, and especially there's so many of those nowadays. I mean, like 10 years ago when we started the band again, those times there was really, really good bands, some younger guys playing something like Stench of Decay and Crypts, and so we were very impressed about, that, because back in those times, when we were playing death metal with Deepred and Slugathor and like this, and there was absolutely no any death metal scene at all, like nothing, And but yeah, many good bands at those times. Gore, Philia were playing when we started, and now the latest years, now there has been coming, a lot of good bands. I mean, totally these young guys, like teenagers, especially in the Helsinki area, like a very cool bands, like Malformed. A lot of good bands nowadays.
How are the attendance at the shows these days in Finland? If you go to a Helsinki show, is it good attendance?
Yeah. But I think, I mean, it was, I think probably it's starting now to be, because there's way too many shows. So now it's going to be happening what older guys like it, when the scene dies, when there's like too much something happening already, So.
One thing I've read about you, you're not interested on being on the road for 4 months, right? You kind of like the smaller commitments to the shows and stuff like that. For you to be away from home, it has to, you're not looking to slum it in a van for a half a year anymore.
No, we have done that, and so it's not something that we are not familiar with, but it's of course we are now old farts already, like average age of the band is in our band already is like a 50. So I mean, it's not our dream, we don't go to just even if we are like a underground band still, then I don't want to go with any fucking just any kind of shit conditions somewhere, and I just prefer to stay home, you know. But we do van tour still, you know, and we're booking tour for next year, and this year has been really quiet, which we have enjoyed a lot, you know. We had a little bit changes already. Also, our bass player moved out of country actually, so it's kind of like some transfer period now. But I guess we'll go back on sitting in a fucking van next year.
Yeah, I'll talk about that too. I know you guys got some stuff set up. You guys do your first full length. You guys do sermons of the Devouring Dead. You know, Hell's Headbangers. First of all, how do you get involved with Hell's?
I knew from another connections. I knew Chase before, you know, and we were looking for, of course, we were looking for a label when we were not signed when we were recording the first album, which was actually not even supposed to be an album. We were thinking about recording a new second demo, but in the process we decided to on top of the new songs we just recorded some of the old stuff also now, so it became an album, you know, and then want to shop it around. But you know, I spoke with Chase, you know, he listened to it and he wanted to have it on Hell's Headbangers, you know, and it's kind of like for us it felt like totally ideal label, you know, because we're not, you know, even though we have some kind of certain kind of, you know, some kind of death and grind sound like this, you know, but we are first and foremost, you know, like metalheads, you know, in the band, you know, so we wanted to be on like a real metal label, not some niche grind thing, you know.
And I think with Hells, they seem like, you know, I mean, I've been buying from them for years, and they seem like one of the, out of the States at least, the best, you know, for a band to be with them. They actually do work for bands. Like, because I feel like we live in a time period where you put out a record and it just gets put out, and then next week it's on to something else, blah, 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 like the Cattle line, right? Hells, I feel like they actually, you could tell me if maybe I'm incorrect, but I feel like they really care about the band and the product they're putting out, and you could see it with the product they put out. They're metal fans first, is what I should say, and then label second.
That's the reason why we wanted to sign with them, because they are actual fans, you know, of this kind of music, you know, and their products are always fucking great quality. So we are more than happy to be with them, you know. We have had no any issues at all, you know. Only issue is only about because of course it's like an American label, so some people complain in Europe. It's like, well, we are a European band after all, so has been some problem about distribution of the records, you know, in Europe. So we heard, but that's a minor thing, you know. We just wanted to have our records, you know, done by what we consider the best.
Definitely agree. You know, they're a great label, and you guys record that at Audioholic Studios.
Yeah. Well, this is kind of like a portable studio anywhere. So even if it's that kind of title, you know, it is where it is. You know, that album is also recorded in a in a bunch of different places. You know.
That is the way now, right? You always see these studio names. You know, most of them are pretty much like the basement or the garage or some kind of like, you know,
yeah,
the studios that move around and stuff. With the writing process for the band, are you guys? Though we're talking 2016 when this comes out. Well, 2017 actually when the album comes out, but 2016 when it's recorded. What was the writing process back then? Are you guys a band in 2016 that gets together every week and jams, or is it like you guys kind of trade off material, then get together at the end of the month? Like, are you guys like an weekly active band, I should say?
Weekly active band, yes.
Yeah, 2016 time period, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I mean, because we are a little bit of, you know, like a caveman, you know, because we are old school guys, you know, we like to jam together, you know, this, you know, it's like not really great with this technology.
Nice to get together in a band or drink some beers, toss around some riffs, right?
Yeah, exactly, you know. But well, I have to pretty much all the stuff is written by me, you know. I made all the songs, you know, but it's, I write something at home and I bring it to rehearsals and we jam it together, you know, and make the arrangements together, you know. But yeah, it's still, you know, we are not sending files.
The album art again is the album art, as you mentioned earlier, is done by Tommy from Slugathor. At that, and would you like how important is artwork to you with Cadaveric? Like, you know, some bands artwork means everything, and for you, what is the importance of that for the band's image?
Well, for me, it's I to put it short. I think a death metal record needs to look like a death metal record.
And of course, what's your feelings on obviously the topic of 2025 or whenever anybody's listening to this, whenever, but AI, what's your thoughts on that with the bands using AI as the artwork and stuff? And
That's all Greek to me.
there you go.
I have no clue of this shit, you know. We don't do that.
I'm gonna play Cold and Casket. We actually opened up the show with Gravestench tonight, but I'm gonna play Cold and Casket from Sermons of the Devouring Dead that came out October 13th, 2017 on Hell's Headbangers. Anything you can tell us about this track?
Which one was that? Cold and Casket.
Yeah, Cold and Casket.
Yeah, well, it's one of those, like I told, kind of like a bonus track. So for that session, which made it to be an album. So re-recorded song from the first demo ever from 2005. This was actually written by. This song actually was written by Ilkka, you know, the original guitarist at that time.
This is Cold and Casket from Cadaveric Incubator, and we'll be back on the Tampa Morgue with Necroterror after this track. And that is Cold and Casket from Cadaveric Incubator. And as we're recording this show, so far, you guys have more on the way. So by up to now, you guys done 6 splits. You guys did a split with Festerday, 7-inch split in 2018. And you guys, so for you, are you more of a, like, you know, if you look at your discography and stuff, are you a guy who would rather put out EPs, splits, or full lengths? Because obviously, you know, you've only done a few full lengths with this band, but for you, what do you prefer? In 2000, like, we live in a different time period. We're back, you know, we talked about Kiss Destroyer or Kiss, you know, Hotter Than Hell or whatever. Back then, you listened to full albums from top to bottom. This is what you did as a teenager. You bought a Black Sabbath record, you listened to it all. We live now where people like 1 or 2 songs, they skip through everything else. For you, you know, pulling out full lengths, do you still think that's something important to do for bands? And what do you prefer personally?
Well, definitely, of course, you know, this is, you know, we are old-minded people in this, you know, we will definitely never gonna stop doing, you know, I don't know, as for the next full-length album, it kind of, you know, takes time, you know, at the moment, you know, but it's gonna be coming, you know, but definitely I want to physical releases. I want to have, you know, and it's, you know, kind of like a small EPs, you know, it's some call it a waste, you know, but I call it good fun, you know. It's I'm a record collector, you know, and it's like I like these small bits and pieces here and there, you know, and a lot of the songs that we are making, you know, like some split releases, more are coming out, you know, as we speak, you know, and a lot of those are kind of like songs that I don't feel like fit well on an album, because I'm thinking about the albums as, you know, of all kind of like recordings. I'm first and foremost I'm thinking about as like the whole thing, you know, what fits together, you know. For the next Cadaveric album, I have a different kind of vision of than the songs that we are putting out now on the EPs.
And you write all the lyrics, right, for the band. So what are some of your are you a horror fan? Which I should have asked you at the beginning of the review. I mean, obviously you are, but like, what is if you had to pick, like, what time period of horror influences you and what influences you lyrically? What would you say?
Oh, the 70s and 80s sleaze, of course, you know, and older than that, you know. I even have, you know, a lot of we have several tracks, you know, influenced by like a hammer horror kind of things. That's the first love, you know,
Christopher Lee and stuff.
Yeah. Well, I don't do all the lyrics anymore, you know, because this is a part where I struggle the most. So, and which has delayed a lot of our like releases also. So nowadays, I've asked Veija, our drummer, also he is contributing to the writing some lyrics, which is cool.
And you're also a band who has done covers, you know, live and stuff through the years. Is there, you know, what is your favorite covers to play, and is there any songs that you've thought about that you would like to play eventually and cover that you haven't done?
Yes, but it's very. I know one cover I want to play, but it's something obscure that most of you will not have heard, you know, and it's just some kind of personal obsession, you know, from some unknown 90s Spanish demo, you know, but we have tried to play that, but we can't play it, you know, shitty enough, you know. It's kind of like a sarcophago kind of thing, you know, only the Brazilians know to do it. So yeah, there's a cover track that I want to do, you know, but it's I'm not gonna tell it.
What are some of your favorite covers that you've done personally?
Oh, you mean like recorded or
either live or record?
I don't know. We have played a lot, you know. We have played a lot, you know, covers in the live shows, you know. I can't even remember a lot of those, you know. I really like playing, you know, something we never recorded, but we played at some point. We had in the live set we had the Pungent Stench song, you know, Extreme Deformity. I don't know. I like playing that, you know, but it's also one of those things. It's maybe it's too obvious that we play band like that, but who cares? We just like to jam.
That's all that matters. In 2018, you guys put out a split on Iron Bonehead Productions, 7-inch again with x-Slaughter out of Finland. That's a band you've done a lot of shows with those guys.
Yeah, this is one of the definitely the best Finnish bands, you know, of the later years, so to say. Very bestial, very metal.
You know, we talk about releases and stuff, and I always kind of battle myself with this too, even doing this show, because I'm like, you know, to me, it's like if it doesn't come out in physical format, I hate to say it, it's not.
It doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist, you know? So it's kind of like this thing. But for you, what is your favorite formats? Is it CD, vinyl, I mean, or, you know, tape? I mean, obviously tape's made a resurgence, but I mean, is it pretty much CD or vinyl for you?
Yeah, I don't, about the tape resurgence, I don't get that one, you know. Really, you know, I got rid of my tapes, you know, ages ago already, you know.
How many of these kids have tape players is what I want to know, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Cool thing to have, yeah. I like it, you know, I like it when we have those, you know, at the shows, because it's easy merch to sell, you know, at the shows. Yeah.
Easy to transport.
But I don't like those myself anymore, you know, since ages. Yeah, I'm a vinyl guy for sure. I mean, LPs, but I really like CDs also. I never got really the hate for CDs at some point, you know, but I think that some kind of thing is coming back also.
Yeah, I think they are. I know I was reading about that. I think it is making a resurgence, because I know that you can sell those, you know, some of these CDs from back in the day. It's crazy how much they go for on these secondhand sites. Same with T-shirts and stuff too. And, you know, so you did that split with x-Slaughter, and the artwork was done by Tony on that, an artist you've worked with again in 2021. You know, so what is if you had to take your whole Cadaveric discography, what is your favorite piece of artwork that you guys have used so far?
I would have to say probably the first album cover, Sermons of the Devouring Dead, you know. That I came to that one. I came to Tommy, to say that we'll make now the first album, and this is what I told you, exactly. I just wanted, that it must look, as death metal as possible. I told him, that like think of something like Scream Bloody Gore, and make that your style. So I really like that one.
We all dealt with the pandemic and stuff. Before that, you guys have played some killer festivals, some killer shows. You got 2018, you guys play Killtown in Copenhagen with Incantation, Spectral Voice, Cemetery Urn, Hooded Menace, Pissgrave, Dorketta. You guys also played Blenderfest in 2018. You guys are playing with bands like Blood, Bitch Meat. Also do 5 shows, Coast Tour, with Torture Rack and Necrodrunks. You guys played Seattle, Portland, Oakland, Los Angeles, and Long Beach. Any highlights from that tour that you can remember?
Well,
Or any
Rose City-
bad stories, or yeah, anything that's
Rose City's trip at Portland was pretty cool. I'm getting to say the last show in the Long Beach, where I got to say, because I told you, I'm one of my, biggest obsessions since a child, was like a Live After Death from Iron Maiden, the live album. So it was a big thing for me that I could say on the last show, at Long Beach, I could say, "Scream for me, Long Beach."
nice.
To all the 20 people there. So
Did you have a favorite city? Out of all the places you've been in the U.S., what is your favorite city you visited that you actually got time to spend in? Because I know a lot of times you're in a van, take off, go,
yeah, I don't have any time there. You sit in a fucking traffic there in the West Coast at least.
that Los Angeles traffic. Did you get a taste of the Los
Well-
Angeles traffic?
Yeah, definitely. That is mind blowing. I don't know. I remember Portland was really cool on that trip. And that's where we had a little bit time to hang out with our friend, Dylan Hesplit, put out the show together. I don't know, it was a fun trip.
In 2019, you guys play Rotfest with Impaled Nazarene, Witchcraft, Satanic Torment, and Cannibal Accident, amongst others. 2019, do Old Grave Fest with Blitzkrieg, Abigail, Kill, Deathhammer. You guys play in 2020. You guys play Riga, Vilnius, which I actually, I'm located in Lithuania this time of the year, and it's funny because I saw the band photo from you guys had taken, and I kind of knew. I was like, man, that's got to be Hill of Crosses, and yeah, you guys visited there. It's I knew that's what it had to be when I saw the photo.
Yeah, on the second album, the promo shot we took on that trip to Lithuania, and yeah, I had been stopping that place before, so I knew it's a cool spot. So we had to put that in black and white. First of all, because that's death metal, of course, but secondly also because we were in such a fucking horrible hangover after the previous night show in Riga in Latvia, so we were all totally with the fucking red face. So
I love Latvia, to be honest, man. I think it's a great place.
yeah, I love it.
And you guys played Vilnius. Who did you guys play with on that show in Vilnius? Vilnius is a great place too. I mean, every show I've been there, they're usually pretty well attended. What was the experience you guys had there, and who were you guys with on that gig?
Vilnius, it was a festival in Feast or something like that.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember who played there, honestly.
Okay.
Other than our friends from Finland, Galvanizer, I think they played there also that year. So
Okay, that makes sense. And then you guys did that, and then obviously 2020, all the shit come. We all know the situation at hand, and because you guys were supposed to play, which eventually, which we'll talk about, you guys did wind up playing it, but you guys were supposed to play Netherlands Death Fest that year, and that got canceled.
yeah, it happened then. What was it? 22, I guess. So.
Yeah, so you guys played it in 22, but 2020 is when you guys got canceled from it. The whole show.
Yeah, well, everything was canceled.
Everything. Everything. Yeah, how was the restrictions over in Finland for you guys? Pretty rough.
Pretty rough, yeah. I guess it's pretty much like the same, like fucking everywhere. So
Yeah,
I forgot when they start to lift that. I think late 21 or something.
Yeah, now you don't even hear about it. Like, so it's like, I got this, okay. But back then it was a big deal. And you've playing a lot of festivals. What is the favorite festivals or the most well-run festivals that you've played that you have enjoyed playing?
Well, I have to say Steelfest, in sense of, you know, like you said, where everything is as professional as possible, you know, and, you know, like everything runs smoothly. I mean, with Cadaveric, when we played Steelfest one time, you know, and that was like 1 in the afternoon, you know, kind of things. Few hangover people there watching watching the show like that, but it's I mean, how you ask about is our favorite festival, you know, the first of all the hangout, you know, and it's which always killer thing and everything works perfectly, you know. I would have to say that. As for what has been the best like a festival show to play for us, I don't really know. It's probably, you know, some of those bigger ones, you know, like Netherlands Death Fest, or even if we had a lot of fucking problems with the sound there, you know, and Obscene Extreme was really fun this year. We played it this
I saw you
summer.
guys played that a few months ago.
Yeah.
What was actually the worst? Yeah, what was the most Spinal Tap moment you guys had where everything just fucking? Have you guys done a show where everything just went to shit?
Definitely. Well, there's plenty of those for sure, you know. One thing comes to my mind, you know, was in like Mexico, kind of like 1 year ago from now, you know, and it is like I don't know how shitty can anything be anywhere, you know. It's like we come at this fucking venue, you know, which is first of all looks very cool, you know. Then they just sit us down there, you know, and say that wait, 4 hours later, you know, because in Mexico usually the shows are pretty early. You know. I think in like around midnight, you know, maybe the first band is starting, you know, and we're just looking, you know, that they don't have, you know, they don't have a back line there. They have like drums on the stage, you know, and there's like no amplifiers or anything like that. All local bands apparently played with this kind of, you know, like a plug-in straight to the mixer kind of things, you know, and we don't have any gear like that because, you know, we come, you know, expecting some things, you know, and it's, I don't know, that was a fucking nightmare, you know. They don't have a sound engineer. You had to mix your own show, you know. They had like the mixer on the side of the stage, you know. No amps, you know, you plug in straight, you know, nobody can hear no fucking shit, you know, no monitors, no nothing, you know. That happened a year ago in Mexico, and it's like I don't wish this experience for fucking anybody.
Did they tell you don't drink the water? You got all the whole don't drink the water, all those kind of things too. You got the whole rule book they give you before you get to Mexico.
No, we're not that stupid anymore, but we've done that too, you know. I played Mexico with Deepred already in like 2002 or 3. I forgot when it was. We made a tour then back there already, you know. So, well, last time I did not get sick, but
You guys do that, and then the band goes, you know, obviously this whole COVID thing's happening during that time period, and you guys decide to do the second full length, Nightmare Necropolis.
yes.
And, so how does this, obviously, you know, we talked about getting together and jamming and stuff. And then, you know, obviously this time period, there's all these rules. What are you guys doing? Are you guys kind of sneaking and jamming? Or are you guys kind of not jamming and just trading links trading links or whatever you have to do to get the riffs across? Because you guys record this during that period.
Well, we don't have any restrictions about, you know, about rehearsing, you know, at least as far as we know. So we just took our chance, you know, because all shows were canceled at that time. So in a way, it was a good thing that everything was canceled. So because I don't know, because you know, we are old school band. We like to like we said, you know, we want to jam together, you know, and like this, you know. But it's also we're older guys already now. We don't have time to be, you know, like a fucking living at the fucking rehearsal place. So, but so when we have, it's fun to play shows, you know, but it's always, that is away from doing something else, you know. So second album came pretty easily because, you know, everything else was canceled. So then we had time, you know, to rehearse compose the material for the album and rehearse it, you know, and then then recorded at the pandemic times. No any restrictions were. The restrictions were helping us, actually with the recording also, because that year, what year was it? I was on 2020 or 21.
Yeah, 2020 is when it all started, right?
Yeah,
That's when I know they canceled that.
that was like
Death
also
Fest.
like that was like a exceptionally like a hot summer in Finland, and so we thought at first that we would record at our rehearsal place. Unbearable heat there that time, so we had to look for some place, to record at least the drums somewhere else. So then we, found out. We've searched for a lot of spaces, where to do this process, and because the studio is a portable one. So then we found, where we recorded the drums. It was like in this kind of like a house tradition, which is pretty much in every Finnish village, where you are keeping like having weddings and like this, like old traditional wooden houses where you're usually those are booked for like a weddings all the summers, but now it helped us because everything was cancelled that year. You couldn't have all happenings like that, like weddings were cancelled. So we got really cheap, to record this kind of like a real good auditorium, with a good stage, acoustics, the drums. So that's why the drum sound on the second album is fucking great, at least in my opinion.
And you're using the same engineer, right, for those for a lot of that material. You're using Timu, his name is?
Yes, he's our guy to work with.
Did it take 6 days to record that record? The Nightmare Necropolis?
Yeah. I mean, not 6 days straight, but we did like drums like 2 days, and the guitar, like all guitars I recorded in 1 day, then another day for bass, and some samples and shit like this, and yeah, I calculated that was recorded all in 6 days, this album.
Are you someone who's a fan of the studio, or you just would like to get it done and get it said and done?
No, totally hate it.
You also had some guest appearances on that. I mean, obviously, just like you, I'm a huge Autopsy fan. We had Ryford on here, but you had Eric Cutler did some stuff on that, and you had Dim from Pyre on there also.
Yes, and also Martin from Blood, amazing vocals on the track, second track, Bloodlust. There's also vocals from Martin from Blood, which is also like one of our main like influences. Put this band together.
And you played with Blood, so how is that for, I mean, obviously we'll talk in a few minutes about, you played with Autopsy too, and I mean, for you, I mean, you've been doing this for a long time, I mean, you're a veteran at this. But also, is it still, no matter how long you've done it, and whether, like when you're playing with Autopsy or you're playing with Blood or these bands, like, is it like, is that inner part of you that's like, hell yeah, man, we're playing with Ryford and Autopsy, or, do you still get that thrill?
It's mind blowing, I can't believe, it is, we are like a small underground band like this, but all the kind of cool things we have managed to do, and to meet all these kind of, like childhood, heroes, from like my death metal gods, I can't fucking believe, that somebody from fucking Autopsy is playing on my record, it is all it took was to just ask, and a couple of shots of whiskey.
Yeah. It's great. And did you feel like, obviously we mentioned this COVID thing that we all dealt with, but did you feel like that killed some of the energy of getting the album done? And like when it kind of, I felt like there was a lot of releases that came out during that time period that kind of got affected by this. Did you feel that at all?
With that album? No.
Yeah.
No, it's, I mean, that made us do it, because we are not like I hear these like some established bands for who this is some kind of fucking profession, and I can understand that they make an album so they can go on tour and shit like this, but we are not a tour band with this. We are this is like a fucking hobby band, you know, so doesn't, you know, affect
That's-
us in any that kind of way, you know.
That's one thing I like about some of the stuff I've, you know, heard from you in the past is that like it's not a the band is definitely a real 100% band, but you also have another side of life. It's not like this is not like, you know, this is not the day job. This is what you do for love or you know, that was kind of the vibe I've gotten from some of this press you've done in the past.
Yeah, it's I mean 100% serious band, and this is, you know, but we do this because we are fans of death metal, you know. This is we play it because we like it, you know, and this is, you know, our lifestyle. So, but I can't believe it. I can't, you know, imagine, you know, if I would have to do this as a job, you know.
2021, you guys do a split on Head Split Records with Leprophiliac out of Spain. Then you guys do a split again in 2021 with Undergang on Extremely Rotten Productions out of Denmark. That, like we mentioned, you guys did do that makeup show in 2022, Netherlands Death Fest with Autopsy, Demolition Hammer, Morbid Saint, Sacramento. Then you guys played Steel Chaos in 2022 with Barathrum, Belphegor, Flame, another killer Finnish band, Venom Inc. How was Steel Chaos for you guys? Oh, no problem.
Yeah. Maybe. Probably all that talk about COVID.
I know, right now we got it again.
Oh, Jesus. All right. What was the question about? Oh, Steel Chaos. Steel Chaos was the question.
Yeah.
Oh.
How'd you enjoy Steel Chaos?
Oh, that was very, very good, you know. We were on a lineup with fucking Venom. I mean, with Venom Inc., you know, but it's also, again, you know, well, I think the show was pretty cool. It's that was like most like black metal bands on it, but they seem to like us a lot, you know, the crowd, you know, and then to hang out with fucking Mantas on the backstage, you know, it's
Jeff's great.
I can't fucking believe, you know, this happened, you know.
I'm telling you, man, you got to go back if you get a chance. We have a interview with Jeff on here. It's 5 hours. I mean, it's a long one, man, but it does not leave. If you're a Venom fan, it goes over every fucking thing. It's even to this day. When I was done with that interview, I was just like, holy shit, I can't believe what I've just heard. You know. So I definitely recommend that to you, man. It's as a Venom fan, it's a must. But you know, and Jeff's a great guy.
Yeah, guys, that was one of the moments, you know, I was like a little bit, I didn't know what to say, you know, when there's like I'm on the backstage with hanging out with Mantas, you know, and it's
humble as hell though, right? The idea like that, what you got from him too, just a really cool guy.
Yeah, very, very, very cool, you know, but yeah, I was totally starstruck, you know, but not as badly as I was when I was in when I met like Michael Denner from Principal Fate at his shop, you know, in Copenhagen. One of the times we played there, you know, then I completely fucking froze, you know. There's like Michael Denner is like standing here next to me. I couldn't get the fucking word out of my mouth, you know. But eventually,
he works
could,
in
you
the
know,
shop,
but,
right? He was there when you went there. I heard he's there all the time working there.
Yeah. I managed to talk to him, but only guy I could not ever, you know, fucking manage to speak to was like, because this has happened, you know, a lot, you know, latest years when we have played this kind of cool occasions, you know, where you meet all this. You mentioned, you know, like the Maryland Death Fest we played, you know, so Maryland Death Fest, you know, backstage was pretty cool, you know, like fucking everybody there, you know, but when Glenn Benton was standing next to me, you know, I could say fucking anything, you know. And he looked like he appreciated that I shut up.
Something about Glenn that you're just like, maybe I won't bug the guy.
He's got that kind of aura, you know. Like, You don't want to mess with this guy, you know.
Yeah, and then sometimes when you talk to him, he's awesome, and he just, you know, it's one of those things.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
I'm sure, but you know.
You never know, yeah. And you guys talk about Maryland Death Fest. You guys played it in 2022. And what was so Immolation helped you get back to New York City after that show?
Yeah. Well, that was well, kind of thing, you know. We fucked up our ride, you know, back to, because it's, you know, like where we were staying aside from the festival the other days where we had our flights and everything was New York. So we fucked up our ride there, you know, that we were supposed to have. So in the morning after the festival, we had no clue, you know, how to get there, because we realized that then we didn't know this is some American thing though. What was the weekend? What's it called there? Like Memorial Day or something?
Memorial
like
Day,
that?
yeah, we have Memorial Day, Labor Day.
So everything is booked there, you know, and we checked like what the fuck, you know, like to take a train, you know, from the tickets they had available at that time was like $600, you know, from Baltimore to New York, you know, and we were just thinking, oh wow, fuck, we're gonna go hitchhiking, you know. Then I just went, you know, to the hotel lobby, you know, to ask, is anybody going to the, you know, New York direction, you know. So yeah, Immolation picked us up, you know. That was very, very cool of them.
Now, when do you start handling bass duties live with Satanic War Master? What year is that?
That was 2013 or 12. Yeah, late 2012 or 13, early 13.
And how do you get involved with Werewolf? Does he just come up to you and say, "Hey, I need some bandmates for the live gigs"?
Well, yeah, well, I've known the guy, you know, and he asked me. I said yes. That's it.
What was your first gig with them?
Yeah, it was a smaller town in the south of Finland called Lahti. I played the first show with Satanic War Master, and couple of months after that was Steelfest, which was something a lot bigger already. So,
And for those who've never been to Steelfest, man, like how would you explain to them? Because you know, I'm from the States, and obviously, like I said, this will be my first time going this year. But like, is it just a big party for like 3 days?
yeah, I think it's 3 days these days. Has been 4 even. You know, that is definitely way too much. You know, but well, that's a good party. You know, that's the best festival you got. You know, wimps hate it, and the true heads love it.
And then back to Cadaveric, you know, you did also 11 dates through Mexico and Colombia in 2024, 3 dates with Sabat from Japan. First of all, how was those gigs?
Well, yeah. Well, Mexico was a little bit, you know, like, well, I described you some of that, you know,
Yeah.
but some of it was fucking great also, you know, and total support, you know, to Joel from American Line who booked that, you know, fucking awesome shows, you know, and Colombia especially, it's another kind of, you know, like a dream come true. I never could have fucking believed, you know, that we would play with this band in Colombia one day, you know, in some ultra metal city, Medellin, you know, and Bogota, definitely probably one of the best shows ever we have done, you know, especially to play with Sabat, you know, which we have been huge fans since forever, you know. So that was the kind of thing we wanted to do, because that was like a 2024, that was like a anniversary year for us. So depending how you want to count it, you know, like originally we started 2004, and then we like reformed in 2014. It's like even we were like away 7 years in between that, you know, so it's either like a 10 years or 20 years, you know, whatever. 2024, we wanted to do something special, so we managed to book that show, and it was a banger.
And how was the crowd? Like, so if you had to say, you know, like I said, you've been through the States, you've been through Mexico, you've been through Europe, you've been to Colombia, and I've always heard about the fans over there. But out of all the crowds you've seen, what is the most intense metal crowd that you've played for to this point?
It has to be the Latin American ones, you know, for sure, you know, definitely, you know, it's like well, Colombia, they still got it, you know, but I remember those times, you know, we played also Latin America, I mean, with Deepred, you know, as far back as 2002 or 3, I don't remember, when we did like a tour there, you know, even, you know, when we're totally underground band then, you know, but the crowds there were fucking totally crazy. We had like a one guy traveling with us at that time on that tour, you know, a Finnish guy who was not in the band or in our crew. He just wanted to come to hang out with us, you know, the shows, you know, and he's like he's from this like a hardcore scene, you know, this like a, you know, the tough guy hardcore stuff, you know, with all the fucking karate kid stuff, you know.
The fucking,
you know, where you fucking break the bone. I don't understand that fucking shit at all, you know, but this dude was, you know, yeah, it's like he's used to it, you know, and he went to the crowd, you know. He was with us when we played there in Mexico and El Salvador or something like that, and he just said, you know, this karate kid had to come out from there. He couldn't handle he said it's too extreme for him, so.
And places you've never played that you like to play, would Japan be on your list and stuff like that? Like, you know, if you had to pick a few places that you would love to visit in Cadaveric, what would some of those locations be?
Oh, I don't know. Japan, probably. I played there with Satanic War Master 10 years ago, so that was cool, you know, about there. So it's
how's the crowds there?
Thing. Well, that was, I mean, black metal is not much of a thing there, so it was a lot like a smaller shows than we are used to play with that band, but definitely it's something, I mean, it's such a like a different planet, you know. I don't know, a lot of places I want to play, you know. Definitely Asia somewhere and Africa. Why not? We can play there. We played, I mean, this summer we played with Cadaveric. We played in Obscene Extreme Festival, you know, and they had this, you know, we had a guy from fucking Botswana coming telling us that he has been waiting to see our band live, you know, and I was like, oh, what? I mean, they had their own band, this Overthrust, they're playing there, you know, but to have such dudes coming telling us, you know, that they've been actually waiting to see our band, you know. Hope it's true, you know, it's not just being polite, you know, but I don't know how's the African hospitality, but, you know, we talked about some things with them and we might have something cooking for Africa. Let's see.
You guys played the Finnish Death Metal Maniacs Fest 10 Fest again. You guys did Obscene Extreme. How was that festival for you? I was only a few months ago, but was that a good experience?
Yeah, very nice, you know. It's like a great organization for sure, you know, and we got pretty good spot to play also, and weather was total shit, but you know, it's always, you know, Central European festivals is the fucking mud fest, you know, always, you know, what can you do about it, you know, but very, very pleasant experience for sure.
And the last release you guys did, well, you guys have some stuff coming out, which we'll talk about in a moment, but the last release you guys did was the Bloodfire Death Grind split with Germany's Depression, 7-inch vinyl. You have some other stuff coming out. You have a split with Hemorrhoid coming out on Head Split Records, and you guys have a split with Cardiac Arrest on the way.
Yeah, that's we have like 3 splits coming out now. Is the first one is the Bloodfire Death Grind one, and the Hemorrhoid one is coming next month, you know, and now in the works is, you know, also the one with Cardiac Arrest.
You guys have a tour coming up with them too.
Yeah, we have a tour coming in next year, April, in Europe with Cardiac. They asked us to join us for their European tour, and good guys, good band, you know, love it all. So
yeah, we had Adam on here.
Very sick package.
Yeah, we had Adam on here probably 3 months ago, I think it was, from Cardiac. So how about new material for, like, are you guys thinking about doing enough? Obviously you have the splits coming out, but are you actually guys tossing around ideas for the next full length?
Yeah, I'm writing the new album now together, you know, with Veijo. Don't know if I mentioned, you know, yet. Before now, our bass player actually moved out of country now, so at the moment it's just the two of us, you know. I mean, there is no any changes in the lineup, but maybe just change in logistics for the show at the moment, but right now we are writing with Veijo the next full-length album, which I don't know, hopefully possible maybe to record next year, but I don't know, we are on no kind of fucking hurry anywhere, this is not some kind of career band, we don't need to we'll do that when it's possible to record it, and I want to do it. It might take a little bit time because I want to have everything ready while, and I want to go to actual studio, to book a time, and to do it, then, and not this fucking record bits and pieces, because you really lose the momentum in this, in my opinion,
Definitely, yeah. Are you guys still involved with Hells for the next release?
For the next album, most likely, yes. And that's at least what we have spoken with, but actually, even aside from the splits which are coming out now, we also have already recorded a mini album, which is also almost finished, but we have been recording a long time. This is something, which is also what I just said, I hate doing this, recording in pieces, because a lot of, problems have been coming on the way while recording that. So we'll have next one. Actually, it's not an album, but a mini album, which we are doing actually for another label, for Extremely Rotten, because we wanted to have an EP and European release with them, but most likely for the next full-length one, we'll still stick to the Hell's Headbangers. I don't know. We'll see when it's time for that.
And then you guys, so any other shows that we haven't talked about that you guys have announced that? Because the only thing I saw, I know April 17th through the 27th, you guys are doing the European tour with Cardiac Arrest. Is there anything else set up for you guys that you want to mention?
Something set up, but that I don't want to mention.
Hey, that's your, as we tell you, man, you can say what you want. And how about with the Satanic War Master? Anything coming up with them?
I will go, I think, Italy early next year. Then it's another South American tour, March, some other things next year. I don't know. We have a good booking agent now, and I'll just go play where he tells me.
For you, where can anybody find anything to do with Cadaveric Incubator, that merchandise, T-shirts, anything? Where would you send them? Do you send them to Hell's Headbangers, or do you guys have do you guys want to send them to the Bandcamp? Where would you send the listeners?
Yeah, well, check the labels who are releasing the stuff, because it's we don't do any mail order or anything ourselves, The Finnish postal system is fucking total ripoff, you don't want to.
Yeah,
it is no use for us to sell anything from here. So check whatever labels we have our releases. So Hell's Headbangers for some merchandise in the US, and Fury merch have plenty of shirts in the Europe. They are from Prague. You check I don't know. Just don't ask us, at least. You can ask us at the shows.
Just leave Antti alone about it. Go to Hell's Headbangers.
No merch here. And even if I have some, I will not sell it to you.
That's right.
Except for at the shows.
Yeah, exactly. Then, well, is there anything else you want to? I mean, it's been great having you on here. I appreciate you giving us your time. I haven't seen many interviews audio wise with you, and I wanted to get you on and go through your history. We're asking you questions that you probably haven't thought about in fucking 15 years or anything. But
yeah, for sure. Well, I don't know. Thanks for having us. It's cool if anybody happens to give a fuck what I say. So thanks for having us.
We're going to play on the way out of here. We're going to play, which is actually a song we talked about earlier, which was written in 2005. We're going to play Coffin Defiler from the Nightmare Necropolis record that came out on May 14th, 2021 on Hell's Headbangers. So I was going to ask you what you could tell us about the song, but the one thing you're going to tell us is it was written in 2005, correct?
As far as I remember, this is probably one of the first songs we even, made with this band, but then we kind of like skipped it, because it's one of the first tracks ever recorded. Even if it didn't make it on the first demo, it made it on the second demo, which also was never released, At least it's on the second album now, That's the only old song on that record, and it's pretty okay, I guess.
We're going to play that in a minute, man. And I do want to ask you, if going back to the day where, like I said, you're 77, we're pretty much exactly the same age. Born in 77, not 77 years old. What the changes from when back in the day when you're a teen to now? What is the one thing about the scene now, or the music just in general? Obviously, you're a Finnish scene. We're from a Tampa scene, but I think a lot of the scenes have the same kind of vibe going on these days. What is the one thing that you just really dislike that's changed so much since when you were a teenager going to shows and getting into these bands? Is it the overload of 1 million bands and releases and stuff? What is the thing that you think that is kind of that you put thumbs down to what's going on these days?
Well, I don't know. It's kind of like the overload of the bands and shows and like that, but I guess it's in the same time it's better than the no
Extinction.
scene at all, which was at some point, because we have been living through that also. I don't know. It's I guess I don't need to tell you when we are in the same age group, but the kind of thing, for me, it feels very soulless, the nowadays thing. Oh, well, of course, this online bullshit like that, But this is, that let the angry old man yelling at the clouds, You don't know how it feels like to put, the tape to an envelope, and put the fucking glue on the stamp. So I don't know.
Different times.
It is what it is.
Yeah. Well, again, Antti, I want to thank you for hanging out, man, and we'll definitely keep in touch. We'll get you back on here when you guys have new music coming out, man, and I appreciate you giving the Tampa Morgue your time tonight.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, we actually, it's perfect, actually, because, you like to go late at night, and so same here, so it worked out. It's great, man. So, and I'm sorry that you had to do it with a hangover, but I'm sure the show was worth it.
Yeah, this is my time of the day.
Well, man, thanks again. And anybody that to get music, you guys have a Bandcamp and a webpage and stuff like that they can visit and all that, and an Instagram page.
We have all those,
All the
check
tools.
Check the fucking Google.
All the tools of 2025. Again, dude, thank you very much for hanging out tonight. I'll say goodbye to you in a minute. Everybody else, this is Cadaveric Incubator with Coffin Defiler from Nightmare Necropolis that came out May 14th, 2021 on Hell's Headbangers. Thanks again, Antti.
Thank you.
Back on the Tampa Morgue after this track. That was Cadaveric Incubator with Coffin Defiler, and I want to thank Necroterror for hanging out tonight, man. It was another great interview, episode 113 in the books, and we finally got Ed Webb back because we lost Ed. We lost him during the show, man. We lost Ed during the interview, and now he is back with us. What's up, Ed?
Yeah, we learned something new about Riverside, which, as you know, I do all the editing and I'm very tech savvy, and I had zero idea that you have to have hard drive space, apparently a good chunk of it, in order for Riverside to work. That would never have been in my head, that with people with phones that use their phones or iPads or whatever, because phones have a shit ton of music, video, pictures that take up a lot of room. So apparently I was using my daughter's laptop in my shed so that my family was here and I had a bunch of people over. So I was trying to be quiet to do the interview, and I used her computer, and she had no hard drive space because all her homework is on there, which I had no idea it was a thing because I used her laptop, 2 weeks before? No problem. And it
We
shut
lost
me out.
Ed.
It dropped me. It fucking
Yep.
told me that you're fucked and we're cutting you off because you have no room on your computer. And I've never heard that, but
And I
this is a
caught
re-
on. That's why I wasn't really trying to bring Ed into the conversation too much because there's a million things while we're doing this show. There's usually a million things going on in the background, and I was kind of trying to figure out what was happening because it was a new message I had not seen before. But it actually alerted me that Ed was leaving us, and
it's crazy, right?
yeah,
I
I
mean,
explained it
but
to Auntie though. I'm like, hey,
yeah, no,
Ed will not be back tonight.
and I worked for 30 minutes trying to figure it out, and it just
You know
without
what it was,
deleting.
Ed? It was like one of those trapdoor floors. Ed was just talking stupid shit right away, and I just fucking had to press the button and
He did.
gone.
He said, "You know what? I don't like this. I don't like where this guy's conversation is going,
Yeah, let's
and
get
we're
this
going to get
fucking
rid of
guy
it
out of here
to the gallows."
to the gallows. But yeah, so we're learning new stuff, technology stuff every day around here, and yeah, Ed. But we're glad you're back, man. It's time to say goodbye because
It, oh
you know
well. Well,
my voice is
the crazy thing is I heard the interview. I could see the interview. I just could not be a part of the interview
yeah.
because you wouldn't it would have been dead space because I was not recording, which
Yeah,
I don't understand how I'm able to still be. It's like being in the green room. I was able to watch
yeah,
and cheer, but that was the
but not
extent of.
participate.
Yeah, I
You
felt
know,
like you put me in timeout, man. It sucked.
it's the it was definitely interesting, but yeah,
We've
you
had
live and
some we've
learn.
had some really, learning. This platform changes every fucking day, it seems, and we learn shit new every day. And
It's
for
not fun
years we were
learning it.
for years we were told you can only use Chrome, and now supposedly you can use Edge. I'm
Yeah,
going to test that theory, just me and Tony as a test run, because some people don't have Chrome and they do have Edge. So if that is true, that will help get connected. We've been trying to get somebody on here for almost 2 weeks,
oh
and
man, yeah,
and I
that's gonna be a
swear it's
story one day.
become a meme because I always think of he told me the dude chimed in, and I think in the 28 days later when the dude come out of the hospital and nobody's around, he's like, "Hello,
Yeah.
hello," screaming hello, or Rick Grimes when he was like, "Hello."
That's the hardest thing about doing this show is because the sound, like we use a program that the sound is really good. Like, this is the difference between Zoom and all these things like that. Like we know that this is the top quality of the audio. The
Well, the
problem
video
is,
would be too. Like
yeah,
theoretically, if we posted video, like our video is, high
crystal
quality.
clear. We just don't
Yes.
use it. It's like we choose
Yes.
not to use it.
But
But
this audio, when you listen back, now of course, myself and Tony, we have these mics that I found a while back that are kind of for podcasting, and they're cheap. They're not very expensive, but they sound
they're
fucking
excellent.
great. And they're easy to use, and I'll be able to take it on the road when I tour and do the show. But
I
you know,
recommend these mics to people all the time now when
I
they,
saw a
they have
whole
mic
thing the
problems.
other day where this whole it was just some people doing a podcast and they all had them, and I
Yeah.
laughed. I'm like, they know, because all these other people, like I'll just say like Glenn Beck or these big podcast guys
Fuck
had
that
these
guy. But
fucking.
sorry.
Well, I'm just saying,
Reaction is
like
just
I just saw a picture and he's got these microphones that I know cost at least $500, $600 for a podcast.
Yeah,
Those
these
mics.
don't cost that much.
Yeah, no, and they sound just as good. I'm fine.
Yeah, I recommend them, man. I'm telling you,
Yep.
I've had a couple people who are like, "Oh, my mic sucks." I'm like, "Well, dude, for this small fee, you can have this." And I'm actually gonna pick up another one when I'm in the States in February, just so I have a backup. I can get it here too, but it's a little bit easier to get there. So
Sure.
they're great mics though, and anybody who wants to know what they are, they can always message us and we'll tell you what they are because I
Yep.
can't see the
I'll
name
put a
on it,
link.
but maybe it's our secret weapon.
If we get enough people asking, we'll put a link up in the Instagram or something.
Yeah, they're great mics. So, but Ed, speaking of mics, it's been a long night. It's been a hell of a. It's been a week of Halloween and concerts and a lot of other shit going on. I don't know about you, but I'm spent. You have anything else you want to?
No, I don't. I'm stressed. My stress level was through the roof for pretty much the day after getting my fucking ass kicked off the platform. So let's just get
Yeah,
out of here. I want to start
yeah,
fresh next week.
yeah. So Ed, tell them to the usual lingo.
Hopefully I don't get kicked telling you this. Amazon, Spotify, Apple, anywhere there's podcast. And when I say anywhere, I've literally yet to find a podcast platform we're not on, which is fucking incredible. YouTube, if you just want to, if you have a premium account, which I do, then you can turn the screen off and listen for free. And then the Tampa Morgue at gmail.com for correspondence. And
And
then
leave
if
us a
you,
review, everybody. We don't ask for much, but I guess what it does is if you leave reviews or give positive, whatever the thumbs up or whatever the fuck is going on, it actually boosts your, it gets you to more listeners. So if you could do that, would be the one thing we ask. If you could
just,
do that for
and even
us.
on YouTube, man, just hit this. You don't have to fucking just like the episode. And if you choose, you want to get notified when something comes out, then you hit the subscribe button. And when a new thing comes out, it pops to the front of your feed when you open YouTube, and you'll know when we're on there if that's what you use. Same thing with Spotify. If you like it and follow it, it pops up. You know, we're not asking you to give us $1 million yet. We are going to, but not
I would
yet.
love that though. You can feel free to
Um,
send the bags of money over.
yeah, man, to send it half of it to Lithuania and the other half to Florida. Um, but yeah, I mean, that's the best way. So it helps us get more people because
Traffic. We have we're
listen,
doing
we
great with
bust our
traffic.
ass to
Yeah.
do this show between, Tony's fucking homework. You have no idea the amount of work this dude puts in for these guests. I'm not just blowing smoke. I'm telling you, this dude spends hours and he has a family that like requires him.
I said a
Like,
little bit ago.
so, the point is that you're a dad that's
Yeah.
still doing your thing and I'm not. You know what I mean? I do the editing and all the stuff on the backside, and even that takes a good amount of time to make the show sound like it does.
It's just, we
So,
want the show to be a certain way. We want to build it a certain way. Anybody can just sign on and blah, 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 blah. But we have a certain format, and that's why we bust our whatever the hell it is to get this the way it is. But
well, I
I
want
think,
to do the guests justice. That's the
yeah,
key. Is
they're going
they're
to
giving
waste their
us their
time to
time.
come on here. We're not going to waste their
Absolutely,
time.
absolutely.
So,
And I think they, as people who are in bands, we want would love to get the same respect that you give. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So we're trying to make that just be a reality.
Yeah. So if you could just give us, like I said, a review, positive review. If you have a bad review, then fuck off and don't do it. Thumbs up, whatever the hell it is. But
We'll give you some. I'll give you a different email to send the fucking shitty ones to.
yes, yes, yeah. So we haven't we're gonna be working on getting another batch of shirts eventually and all that good stuff. But everybody, as always, thanks for listening. And Ed, you got anything else on the way out of here?
No, I'm good, sir.
Yeah, next week we have Chris Volcano from Abominator coming on. They have a new album out that
Hello.
came out on Halloween and it is killer. So hopefully if everything goes right, that'll
Hello.
be the next episode. And we have some more guests too that we'll announce once we get everything 100% figured out. But everybody, thanks for listening and see you next week. Peace.
See ya.
This is King Fally from Deceased, and you just listened to another episode of the Tampa Morgue. Tune in next week and stay fucking dead.